you begin, let me. Okay. So, good morning, everybody, and Happy New Year. And the Board of Liquor License Commissioners hopes that it is a healthy and happy one for everybody who has business before the board in 2017. The board has set its schedule for the next 4 months, I believe, and we'll be posting those dates. So we will be sitting formally in docket hearings 3 Thursdays out of each month for the next 4 months. And on the fourth Thursday, we have conferences scheduled among ourselves to deal with internal agency business. So I think that's going to be on our website, the dates?
Yes.
And that will be up very soon?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that if anybody is interested, you'll be able to know which dates are on our calendar and when hearings will be scheduled. And having said that, we will start the year with our first docket.
Yes.
Mr. Akers?
So this is the morning docket, Thursday, January 5th, 2017, the 11 a.m. docket. All regular items, new transfer expansion, hardship cases will be heard this morning. If you have an electronic device, please silence it or turn it to vibrate. When the case is called, please step forward and state your name clearly into the microphone. And if you're going to be giving testimony, please be prepared to be sworn in. Calling the first case, Daryl Strange, Truth Lounge, LLC, trading as Truth Lounge, 4507 through 09 Bel Air Road. This is a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license. It's an application to transfer ownership and a request to add live entertainment.
Counsel, you want to identify yourself, please?
Yes, Abraham Hurdle for Truth Lounge and Daryl Strange.
Good morning. And are you Mr. Strange, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can you raise your right hand, please?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing? The truth, nothing but the truth. I do.
Is there anybody else who'll be testifying in this matter?
Well, I was going to come to that. I suspect there are people here who are interested in this matter. Okay. Can I ask you all to come around, please?
Looks like they're on the support
You do
side.
have their names?
Yes.
Okay. Bryce has their name.
I gave Stacy the list.
Is the secured creditor going to be here, the one who owns the license?
We'll ask you the same.
Sorry.
Ladies and gentlemen, I know you've given the reporter your names, but I need you to come up and be sworn. So if you would come to this side, please. Each of you, all of you at once will do it, okay? You just line up. And anybody who is going to give testimony, would you please raise your right hand?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Counsel, you may begin.
This is a transfer of the license at 450709 Bel Air Road. It currently exists at that location. It's a BD7. According to the Liquor Board's own, file background sheet, it's the only BD7 within the 4x4 block area, which I would say is one of the things that makes it a unique space.
And Mr. Zorzit is the secured creditor?
That's correct. He's not here right now.
Is he? Are you planning to have him be here?
No.
Oh, okay. And he wants to transfer this license to Mr. Strange, is that correct?
That's correct.
And has Mr. Zorzit had any involvement in the running of this lounge in the past?
Not to my knowledge. I wish I could speak to it. He is the secured creditor. My understanding is he took the license back after some sort of financial issue befell the previous licensee. As for anything beyond that, I'm just not privy to that situation.
And when was that?
I think the application for transfer to Mr. Zorzit was in, it looks like July. And the application for Mr. Strange was filed in early October. He's been in there since then, remodeling and really cleaning the place up. It was kind of a rough wooden shell on the inside before, and it's...
How long had it been in operation, do you know?
Some of the neighbors' letters indicate that there were some issues in 2008. I think it's been there for probably a couple decades, would be my guess.
Okay.
Certainly a decade it has been in that location.
Okay. And before we go to their testimony, can we hear from Mr. Strange what he's doing and what his plans are for the lounge?
Absolutely, of course. Mr. Strange, what kind of a business do you plan to run there?
Looking for a bar lounge that caters to 30 and older.
just somewhere for people to come and fellowship, have a drink if they choose to do so, listen to music. I'm not looking for, any rough crowd. As I've explained to the president of the community association, I have deep ties in the community, being a former Baltimore City police officer in that district, as well as currently serving on a community association. So I understand, the importance of community associations and sometimes, the objections that they may have. But, I'm not here to be a hindrance to the community. I want to be a partner with the community. And that's what I've tried to do over the last 2 months.
Apparently, this place did have a troubled history. That's why.
I was reading some of the letters, and I also did some research on my own, and it does sound as if there have been a couple of problems in the past, maybe more than a couple. Mr. Strange is certainly looking for an opportunity, to run it his way, which I think is going to be very different. Mr. Strange, beyond being a former police officer and a community group member, you mentioned to me that I can't remember, I apologize. What is your other role that you play in the city?
Actually, am a member of the State Central Committee, actually for the 43rd District. So I have a lot at stake, being that I do hold those roles and, I have a reputation that I want to uphold. So
Do you have any experience in this field of work?
yes, I've worked with a close friend for about 2 years with another bar restaurant. And in my earlier years when I was starting out, in my career, I opened up a restaurant in Owings Mills, not my own restaurant, but I was a trainer that opened up a restaurant by the name of Tony Roma's in Owings Mills. So I have, some experience. I'm not going to say I have decades of experience, but that's why I didn't start too large. I wanted something small.
And if you get this license, have you got plans for how many employees you will have and who will be on site on a regular basis? And those
Yes, sir. I have someone that I'm looking to have as a manager as well as other employees. And some of those employees are, members of the community.
Are any of them current employees of the lounge?
Well, because we're not open right now, legally.
But are you hiring the former
No,
persons?
no.
Personnel?
No.
These are all new.
These are all really new people.
Okay.
Mr. Strange, you plan to have security in place at the lounge, is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes, I also plan to have security for the lounge whenever the lounge is open.
And what would the hours be?
That's one of the things I wanted to, I reached out to the community is to find out what are some of their wants and needs. I never got any feedback from anyone in the community about that when speaking with Ms. Jackson, but typically I want to open up around 2 o'clock in the afternoon and on the weekends until 2 o'clock.
2 a.m.?
Yeah, yes, 2 a.m.
During the
yes.
week, you would be open till 2 a.m.?
No, during the week, again, speaking with the community to find out something. Yeah, I have my own kids. I understand that, kids have to go to bed at a certain time. They have to get up and go to school in the morning. So, again, partnership with the community is what I would like. But, it takes a, team to sit down and, discuss these things.
Do you live in this area?
I live in original Northwood, which is about a mile in some way.
Okay. So you didn't really tell me during the week, what time would you be closing?
I'd say maybe around 12.
Okay.
And Mr. Strange, you mentioned that there's going to be live entertainment. That was one of the things you requested, correct?
Right.
And the noise levels are going to be in accordance with the health code and with liquor board rules as
Yes,
well,
sir.
right?
Yes, sir.
What did you mean by live entertainment? Are you talking about a disc jockey, or are you having bands, or?
Just a DJ. And for special occasions, if we maybe want to have a jazz ensemble come, someone to play the keyboard or whatever,
But it's not going to be heavy metallic rock music?
Not unless you like it and you want to come.
I'm too old for that, but I think there are people who probably enjoy it.
Mr. Strange, you know that you have to buy all of your alcohol from wholesalers?
Yes, sir. And
And you understand that you and any managers you hire are going to be TAM certified?
Yes.
And your goal is to have everyone in the staff alcohol awareness certified?
Yes.
That's TAM as well?
Yes.
And if the neighborhood brought any complaints to you in terms of the way things are operating once you open, should that happen, you'll do your best to address that issue,
Yes.
correct?
Yes. And I've explained to Ms. Jackson, I will give her my cell phone number. I'm always available. I always have it.
Is Ms. Jackson one of the people here?
No,
Okay.
she hasn't really talked to us.
Okay. You know, frequently when we have situations like this, there's a negotiated memorandum of understanding between the members of the community and the licensee. Would you be open to sitting down with them to creating such a document so that they could have input into the management of the facility?
Yes, sir. And I actually, again, spoke that with Ms. Jackson, and
Ms. Jackson is who?
she's the Community Association President for Frankfurt Improvement Association.
Okay.
Mr. Strange, you reached out to the local delegate and Mike Hilliard of the kind of local overarching community association, and
Right.
they both identified Ms. Jackson as the person to speak with
Yes,
in terms of for this area.
yes.
And you did speak with her, but she's out of town, and you've had a tough time getting her to call back.
Right.
Would that be accurate?
Originally, I had a time trying to get in contact with her. When I finally reached out to Mr. Hilliard from Harbell, he got in contact with Ms. Jackson, who then emailed. Well, we had a long conversation on the phone, at which time she then emailed me. And in her email, one of the things was she wanted to make sure that there was a memorandum of understanding there, because I actually brought it to her that we wanted to do it. And I know that week she was out of town. She had other obligations. But since then, trying to sit down and, get one together, hasn't been successful. But if these are people, members of the community association, I'm definitely willing to sit down and draft a memorandum of understanding.
I have an email from Mike Hilliard in regards to him contacting, or should be contacting Ms. Jackson, and him requesting that contact information, as well as some petitions signed by individuals who are here today, as well as who live in the area. I also have some testimony I may be able to present, but I do have more.
If you want to present that, give it to Ms. Russell, please. It'll be received as evidence in the case. I'm going to let these people talk, but I just want to, we've received a packet of information, mostly containing protests, and I'm guessing from my review of this that a lot of it has to do with a pretty bad history of the prior lounge before you came in on the scene. And I imagine I'm going to hear a lot of that in a few moments from the folks here to my right. Have you had a chance to look at what their complaints were?
I just looked at what was on the Liquor Board website. That's all I was able to see. So I'm not
Okay.
sure if that's all of it.
Well, I guess you're going to hear now. But and let me ask the folks, and I'm happy to have you tell us about the problems and where you, if you would tell us where you reside in relation to this facility and what the problems it's caused you. But also, because this gentleman wasn't responsible for what happened in the past, let me know whether you're willing to try to work with him to make some changes, okay? So, who wants to speak? Do you want to put on more evidence
I
before?
do have just a little bit more,
Okay.
I apologize. And I think it does help address some of the concerns. Some of the concerns that came up, one of them being kind of trash and just a general kind of poor appearance of the structure. And Mr. Strange has arranged already for a dumpster to be there, and they are currently doing everything they can. The moment they open, the sidewalk's going to be swept every day, anything's going to be picked up. I think a lot of the things mentioned in there, they mentioned used condoms, drug paraphernalia in bottles. Two of those three things don't come from this place. So I'm not sure they're necessarily a source of any of it, plus they're not open yet. But they're going to do their best, if it is in front of the structure or in the nearby area, to keep it clean, because a cleaner place sets a certain tone for a certain crowd and kind of sets the right example. And Mr. Strange, is it correct that you've also been talking with some of your neighbors about addressing any sort of parking issues that may come up? Is that correct?
Yes.
And those parking areas are nearby, is right?
Yes.
And your current capacity is less than 150. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Did you have anything further?
Not at this
Before
time.
I go to the folks, do the commissioners want to ask any questions of Mr. Strange?
I have a lot of questions, but I think I'd prefer to wait until after the community have had their chance to speak.
I may have questions, Mr. Chairman, after the community, but Mr. Strange, can you speak, I don't know that the sanitation, I see as a pretty significant issue. There are lots of issues here, and most of them predate you. But can you speak about the sanitation efforts you'll undertake? I don't know that a dumpster's, given what we have seen, is going to address the issue. Would you be open to other things besides a dumpster, regular cleaning? I mean, can you tell me what your thoughts are?
Well, the reason I originally thought of the dumpster is because in a lot of the pictures that were out there, you see a lot of trash just around. So, yes, I am open to other suggestions. Again, I'm not very well versed with, the whole sanitation process and all that, but if, again, sitting down with the community, if there's, issues that they want to address and things that they want to do, I'm definitely open to
But
it.
you understand, as a licensee, you have to come up to speed with sanitation, and just, my concern is, and I think you're a very reasonable, engaged person from what I gather,
Yes, sir.
that, that people who throw trash in an alley doesn't necessarily equate to them throwing it in a dumpster.
Right.
So I just want you to be open, and I appreciate the fact that you're open to thinking a little bit more about this.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so folks, if, because we're being recorded, you need to lean into that mic. So if you'll go one at a time and tell us who you are, and then I'm happy to hear what you have to tell us.
Excuse me. Oh, okay.
And you can pull that down if it's a little too high for you.
Share the podium there if you,
Sure, if you'd like to.
if you-
Absolutely.
if
Yeah,
you've got
please.
lots of papers.
Yeah,
Thank you. Thank you. Oop, oh my God.
and they come off, that's all right. Keep knocking mine
Oh,
off as
okay,
well.
sorry. I'm Margie Dieter. I am a very close neighbor. I'm 4204, so I'm right there at your back. I'm kind of disappointed that my name and my address has been all over these papers, and not once have you reached me and asked me how we could work together, knowing that I'm working with the community, even though there's a lot of us working here in the community. I feel like you don't really know who we are, because you have on your papers that there's one liquor store in my area, and this is what the community sees as liquor stores. And we're gonna show this. Whoever wants to see it.
Yeah, if you would just, I'll give this to Ms. Russell and it'll be received in
As liquor
evidence.
stores in our area. Now, since the bars started coming, which started with Mr. Zorzit, probably around 2008 or so, there just keeps becoming more and more killings, shootings on my block when there wasn't any before. And I've been there over 30 years. So here's a list of some of the killings. We don't want any more people killed, and alcohol brings fights. And this is just, oh, sorry, some of them.
This lady's in charge of our evidence, so if you.
No. I wrote, and somebody came out and cleaned this garbage up on 11:30, after we all, the whole block, had a look at it for Thanksgiving and all summer. They cleaned it up. Now, today, when you guys just testified, you're up there cleaning, this is what it looks like. I still have all this trash all over, all this trash on the fire exit, all over, trash everywhere. Do you want to be accepted in our neighborhood when you know we don't live that way, and that's how you're keeping the place now that you do own it? And some of the place just, the concrete's cracked from the top to the bottom. Common sense. Even a woman knows that if you have 150 people, it didn't sound right, excuse me. If you have 150 people in a building, it shouldn't be propped up with little wooden stilts there, and the woods there is rotten. People are gonna die in that building. And where's the knob on the back door? Shouldn't the exit have a knob on that back door? Is it really an exit if it doesn't have a knob? And that back door doesn't have a knob. We got pictures here.
So give that to Ms.
So,
Russell.
here's the back door here. Oh, sorry, here's the back door there. So, I worry that you don't really, you don't have a lot invested there, because we're the ones seeing all this. And I understand your right to a business, but your right to a business doesn't override all of our rights to a life, and especially our people who are disabled, who can't get in and out of that alley next to that place. And I know you're saying this won't be you, but didn't you frequent that bar beforehand? Yes, you did, because Carolyn Jones, Hamilton, the old owner, told me you were buying it. So now you're gonna lie here to me. I work with Carolyn. I know, she told me you used to work at Good Sam, you were a cop, you were buying it. I see it, you say that, but it's kind of funny that you live a couple blocks down from Mr. Hamilton and you don't know none of these people. And she's the one that came and told me you were buying it. So, that's irrelevant. So, we got taverns in our area. They're on that list. They're clean, they're nice looking, they're not kept the way you're keeping the place that you have had. We have a lot of churches. There's a church on both sides of the tavern you want to open. You don't have it really listed there on the map you gave them. So in our community, I'm a nurse. I talk to social workers right out back. We got mailmen. Across the street's a police officer. We don't want to live like this. We got people who've had bullet holes in their car, people shot in front of their houses, yellow tape across the top of my street. And no, I don't believe you're going to attract a different crowd because we've had this for, 8 years now? And no, you're not going to be that different to attract a different crowd because the same crowd keeps coming. The crowd that's running to the Shell station that they're trying to close right now, the same crowd that went to Uzo at 4800. The same people come to us, and we're the ones that have to deal with it time after time after time. And I have nothing against you. Who I have something against is Mr. Zurzit, who's not here, so I can't really say anything. But I don't understand how he keeps getting a license if he has a criminal record, which apparently he may have. So here's the gas station they're trying to padlock right there in our area. We're going to attract the same people. And we have too many people who are disabled for daycares. You know, and the people coming to these daycares, they don't want to see all these bottles. I'm a witness. I heard commotion. I walked out front. People from the bar opened the car door on my neighbor right across the street. They thought they were being attacked. So they jumped out and there's a big fight. So us being innocent, we're going to get in trouble because of the people coming from that bar. And, you know, you always say call somebody. Okay, for instance, the rats and now possums coming from that trash. My husband called the city. The city said, we don't pick them up. Who has to go out there and clean them? My husband. Who pays $45 a month for rat control because of the trash at your bar? And I know it's coming from there because I lived there 30 years. It wasn't there before the bar. And I can't say you're going to be different because I'm looking at it now. I rode by it today. It's the same thing. So how can you tell us you're going to be different, that anything's going to be different? And do you own a home in Baltimore City?
Yes, I do.
Where?
I own one in Edna Gardens and in Original Northwood.
What's the address?
4006 Lock Raven Boulevard and 3714 Elkader Road.
Why isn't 4006 listed under you if it's your house and you're telling me you own it?
I'm sorry?
Why isn't
I
406?
can show you documentation why
I
the
got
house is,
occupation right here.
the house is under contract with Mr. Jones.
Oh, so you don't own it. If it's under contract, you
Well,
don't own
sorry.
it, right? You don't own it.
For semantics,
So-
I apologize, but.
then this is
I'm in
the
process
second
of
lie.
purchasing.
This is the second lie I just caught you in, right? Right. So how are we going to be good neighbors?
Well, if you don't mind me addressing, you know, instead of attacking, and I'm not saying that, you know, that's what you're, you know, trying to do, but instead of attacking, this is my first time speaking with you. You mentioned, you know, why have I never reached out to you? Well, unfortunately, if you look at the liquor board information that's on the website, names are in signatures, I can't read it, and addresses have been blocked out. So I apologize if I have not reached out to you. The only point of contact I've had was Ms. Jackson. You ride by the place and you see trash and you see things there. Yes, we're renovating. If you looked and if you had seen the place prior to October, it was in complete disarray. So yes, we've been putting trash out on the back, waiting for people to come and pick it up. Yes, we have to pay. I mean, if you look at what the place used to look like.
Wait, how long for people to pick it up? How long?
Well, this has been.
Betsy, one at a time.
This has been going on since the latter part of October. So it's not the same trash sitting there. I mean, we just, you know, had to put in new floors. We had to cut boards, you know, to put on the floors because the floors, you know, weren't in the condition of my acceptance. So yes, I apologize if there's trash out there, but I'm trying to get the establishment into a presentable, I guess, it's something that's acceptable to me. And my standards are very high. You know, anybody will tell you. You know, I have very high standards on certain things. So I hear your complaints, I hear your concerns, you know, but instead of attacking me, give me an opportunity to be a good neighbor, to be a good business, you know, and looking at the home and all, you know, and my address and stuff, everything. I apologize if, you know, me purchasing a home, as well as owning a home, is in your terms lying to you. I apologize. It's not my intention to lie to you. I want to be as candid and as upfront as possible. But, you know, the way we can start building that relationship is by sitting down and talking. You know, I'm not, and I don't want to bring this into money, I'm not making any, you know, revenue off of the place, but I'm constantly putting, you know, funds into the place to make it better, not only for myself, but for the community. So again, I apologize if you don't think that, you know, that's my goal. Nobody wants to come to a place, you know, that's trashy, you know, to patron, you know, so I have to get it to a level that's going to be acceptable. And the Carolyn Jones person that you're talking about, I honestly have no clue who Miss Carolyn Jones is.
She knows you. She told me all about this. This is how I found it out, but you don't know her. She said you worked at Good Sam. She knows you.
I'd never worked at Good Sam.
I don't, okay. Why are all these signatures so similar? You know, people don't
I'm not
normally write on top of one another. That's abnormal.
I'm not one that can,
But there are people who you say you know,
right,
right?
what I'm saying is I'm not one that can, you know, tell if a signature is, you know, exactly or if it's not exact, but I do remember going to each and every one of those individuals, and they did sign the
And they
form.
signed right there. Every one of those people signed there on
Yes,
that
ma'am.
paper. That's their signature.
Yes, ma'am.
Sure.
And one of them's actually here, if you want to.
Excuse me, 1 second. The commissioner had a question for you.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Mr. Strange, I just want to make sure I understand something. You don't know a Carolyn Jones? There's a woman, the only reason why I ask is there's a woman who has signed the papers.
Right, no, when she's saying, Ms. Jones signed, but I don't know her in the respect that she's saying I know her, as in, I told her that I was purchasing a business, and I told her all these
Okay,
things.
okay. I
Well,
wasn't.
Right.
Well, if you don't know her and she doesn't know you, then her signature on your application is void.
I don't think that's what he said.
That's what
You
I'm
said
saying.
You do know her.
I know Ms. Jones, but in her reference that she's saying that I know her, and I sat down and I talked with her about purchasing. I'm actually renting the facility right now, you know, so.
Ms. Jones says that she personally knows you, and you're saying you don't personally know her. And on our application, we require a signature from 3 people that can attest to personally knowing you for a certain amount of time. And yet here you're standing before us saying you don't know her and she doesn't know you, and what's said about you is false.
No, in the context that, I'm sorry, that the community association individual was stating about me working at Good Sam and her knowing me from there and me having those conversations, that is not
All
accurate.
right, so let me, because there's a lot here, and I know we got to move this. Do you know a Miss Carolyn Jones who signed this?
As the person who signed that, yes.
And so what you're suggesting, though, is what Miss Dieter has said that Miss Jones told her
Yes, sir.
isn't true, that you've never worked at Good Sam,
Yes, sir.
but you do know Miss Carolyn Jones at this address
Yes, sir.
in some capacity,
Yes, sir.
apparently for 9 years.
Yes, sir.
That wasn't very apparent from that colloquy, I must tell you.
And I will just share an observation. I'm not a handwriting expert
Yes,
or
ma'am.
analyst, but all of these signatures on this particular page appear identical. Just having looked at a lot of these applications in my tenure on this board,
Yes, ma'am.
I will tell you, they look identical.
Yes, ma'am,
And
and
it's a little concerning, and,
I can't speak for that, so
yeah,
And
I hope you're catching that there's some inconsistencies
yes, ma'am.
in the presentation so far.
Yes, ma'am.
So
Okay.
because we have to pay some attention to time, are there other members, individuals here who want to say something different from what Ms. Dieter has told us?
Want to let them go? Means that we're,
Well,
okay, go ahead.
No, let me say something.
I do have some questions for Ms. Dieter, though. So-
Okay, all right. Come on back, okay. Go ahead.
Ms. Dieter, you seem to accuse Mr. Strange of not being concerned because he didn't reach out to you. Were you aware that the documents with your information on it was redacted to the liquor board?
You know, I like Mr. Strange. I don't know, put it in English, I don't understand
Ms.
those
Dieter,
words.
did you know that the documents with your address didn't have your address on them at the liquor board?
No, I only know I sent everything, but I'm like right there. He could reach out to me easily.
We're 3 doors
Well, I'm
down
right
from the
there.
bar.
I'm right there. I'm in front of
only
this
have
place.
one person
I'm
speak at a
over there.
time.
I'm right there. I'm out. I'm talking to the community. You could have reached out to anybody. If I have, you say you got signatures, we got the whole community with signatures, and anybody, you could have came to any of us, and they would have sent you to me, or they would have talked to you, because I'm not the spokesperson by any means. I'm probably the least. These people have a lot more to say.
Ms. Dieter, when you looked at the application and started sending letters in, you noticed that his address was on the application, right?
Whose?
Mr. Strange.
Yes, I did.
Did you send anything to him asking to talk?
I sent it to the liquor board because that's who I feel I should communicate with.
Ms.
I
Dieter, my
don't
question
think it's
was,
my place to reach out to a man.
so
I'm a married woman. I don't reach out to him.
it's very convenient.
Well, it's actually not. The most convenient.
You mentioned the back door has no knob on it. It has no knob on the outside. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Is
Wanna
it
see it?
possible that
I
there's
got
a
a
knob on
picture.
the inside?
How's people gonna, okay, is there any written?
Ms.
But
Dieter,
I
my
don't know
question
that
is-
that
No,
point is
there's
really
not.
going to be all that germane. Can we move it along?
We talked about it. I think I have a right to ask
Because it
questions
would
about
have
it.
to have a hole. It would have to have a hole. So no, I'm sure if
But
there's no hole on the outside, there couldn't be a hole on the inside.
It's possible that we're living in a different world, but questions like, is it possible, get us nowhere. Do you have anything more specific than that?
Do you know if there is a knob on the door
I'm
on the
gonna say
inside?
no, because there would have to be one on the out.
Do
Being
you know-
54 years old, having all my experience with doors, they've always had an.
All right, we're moving on. Any other questions?
Ms. Dieter, did you submit something with regards to property values to the liquor board?
Yes, I did.
And
I said it wasn't fair that that bar was paying for 2 places what we're paying for 1. Yes, I did.
did you also say that the property value decreased because of the bar?
Yes, I did, and I got proof of that too. It's mine, my own papers, realtors. When I refinance, yes, I did. They're official. They should be through the loan place too. Yes, I do.
And when did you most recently refinance?
Last year.
And it was for $75,000? Was the
No.
valuation?
My home lost money, so I had to go through the Obama safety net because my home dropped lower than my mortgage. So I'm stuck. And
Previous-
I couldn't refinance at a wonderful rate because my home value dropped so much. I'm with PHH Bank. I do
Okay,
have that
Your
here.
previous assessment was in 2005, is that correct?
You know, I might have, but I had,
The board is aware that there could be many, many reasons why property values go down. Let's move along.
not that much. Right, but sorry, yes, here it is. I want to see it.
Is it possible that any of the dumping there was from somebody besides
No,
the business?
you see it, it's on his railing. It's, how could it be from somebody else? It's in his yard, on his railing, and it's been there twice. It's been removed once, and it's back there again. So no, it's no possible way it's from anybody other than you or the people you got working there right now.
I have no further questions.
Okay, and sir, you had something additional to add?
Yes, sir. Well, my problem.
And your name is?
My name is Brian William Dieter. I live at 4204 Stanley.
And you're her husband?
I'm her husband, yes, sir. My problem is, first off, the trash.
Well, she's already told us about
Well,
that.
no, my point is, there is no area for a dumpster or for the truck management company to come pick their trash up. Because it's a small alley, there is no way for their truck to maneuver to get down to a dumpster. So what they were doing for a small period of time, they were loading the dumpster up, then they would roll it up to the top of the street, leave it there until the dumpster people would pick it up. In the meantime, the dumpster was full, so what they would do is pile the trash all around the dumpster. Of course, bringing rats, which I pay $45 a month for, to put rodent bait out in my yard to keep the rats down.
So
My
my question is
point
this.
is, there's no way for sanitation to occur.
Are we talking about the time when this lounge was in operation, or the time when he's been doing renovations?
Well, either or, because there's no way to pick up the trash except for them to physically come down and pick up a trash can.
I understand that, but it's been closed for a while, right? And he's been doing renovation there.
There's been trash out there the whole period of time.
Okay, is the trash different from the construction work as opposed to when the bar was open?
No real way to
No,
tell.
it's just to show you then and now.
Okay.
Mr. Dieter, is there a dumpster that they're using right now that they're wheeling up to the front and filling with garbage on the outside?
No.
So that's not
There's
something
no-
that they've done?
There's no means of sanitation whatsoever there right now.
Mr. Dieter, currently, they do not have a dumpster that they are surrounding with trash at the
No.
front.
Because there's no place to put it.
Because there's no place to put it.
Thank you.
Can you please, everyone just wait till he's finished the question before you answer, and only one person can speak at a time?
Okay, did anybody else have something additional to add? And please just tell us your name, ma'am.
My name is Irma Beasley. I live 4205 Moravia Road. And we have a problem with the bar crowd that parks all over the place. Now, we have a 2-car parking pad in the back of our house that I come down off of Bel Air Road in the alley to park there. And a lot of times the patrons are blocked. They block the alley. There's a street right next to our house. It used to be Ali Beck's Crab Place. Sometimes we would park there, but the bar crowd, they park all over the place. They park up on the street. There's no place for us to park. And
Now, is that all attributable to this one bar, or because apparently there are a lot of them in the area?
it's all attributed to that bar.
Okay.
And I've talked to, I don't know if he's the manager. I've asked him if he could just ask the people not to block the alley. I don't have a problem with them parking around there, but just when I come home, I'd like to get into my
I understand.
home.
Yeah.
And they're very rude, nasty.
But these are the people who used to run it, right?
There's no one there now, so
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. Okay, I just wanted to be clear. I mean,
Yeah.
this man hasn't hired any rude people yet. But, okay.
I think I'm neighborly because we've been around here a long time. I had my children grew up there, and we try to be neighborly. When we moved there, we were the first blacks around there, and we had a little situation, but we resolved it because I'm not going to live somewhere where I can't be comfortable.
I understand.
And I think we're neighborly.
You seem
husband's
like
from-
it.
We are. My husband's from Middle River, where they have a lot of ground, so we're used to ground, but we're neighborly. And with the bar, I know a couple of times I've come, and I've asked the man that owned the bar if he would ask his patrons to back up some so I could get in the alley. He was very nasty, and from then on, I just said I was going to get in touch with someone because I'm not going to tolerate that.
I understand.
But that's about the only problem I've had. It's no
So
place
the parking
to
is
park.
your primary problem? Okay.
Yes.
Can we ask the others if they have something additional to add?
If I may, I apologize.
Well, I'm going to come back to you because I understand she's talking about the past anyway.
And we just wanted to address it and apologize for her previous issues and indicate that that's something that we plan to have remedied.
Okay. Sir, your name, please?
Yes, Leonard Wisner Sr.
Mr. Wisner, what did you want to tell us?
Okay, I live at 4209 Stanwood, which is on the right side of Stanwood as you're going down the street, which is the parking side of the road. I have a driveway for my house, and I was constantly being blocked out. I had signs put up for no parking. They continued to park directly in front of the driveway, not where they were blocking just a piece of it. If they block a piece, fine, I can get out. If they're in the middle of the driveway, I can't get out. And I have 2 vehicles. The other thing I would like to bring up is it was brought up that the establishment has been there for several decades. It was there several decades as a local pub at a single address. It has been expanded to the second address to accommodate additional people.
And how long ago was that? Your best guess.
It was 2003, 2004, somewhere thereabouts.
Okay.
Trying to get my thoughts together here. On one of the pictures that has been submitted, it shows a picture of Bel Air Road with a red car parked at the corner of Bel Air and Stanwood. And you can see that that car is partially into Stanwood Avenue. When the establishment was opened, this was constant. They were always parking where they were impeding the entrance to Bel Air Road. To Stanwood Avenue. If you can't get into your home street, how are you going to get home?
I understand.
What else? There was something else.
Well, let me.
Oh, the
go ahead.
additional parking problems is the parking is extremely limited at this area. All you have is Bel Air Road, parking on the two sides. They're constantly parking in a MTA zone. This is all the time. They're constantly parking there. The other is I can't stress about the fights and shootings that occur in this area because of the clientele. They come walking down the street after being at the bar. They're constantly yelling at each other, fighting in the streets. I went out one time that I saw somebody parking in front of my driveway, and I pointed out, "Hey, excuse me, but you're blocking my driveway." He turned around and he said to me, "F you, old man, you're not going anywhere." And he left his car there. Now, one time I did call the police to get a car towed. It took 3 hours to get the car towed.
I'm sure.
By the time you call the police and they show up an hour later, once the cop is there, it takes him a half an hour to write the citation. Then he calls it in for a tow truck. Tow truck takes another hour to get there.
I understand, sir. I believe you.
So, and this is not going to change just because they have a new owner. I'm not attacking you, sir, please. What I'm doing is I'm attacking the clientele that are going to be drawn to an establishment that has live music or a live DJ, and the other establishment had people bust in on occasion. What that was about, I have no idea, but they were busing people in.
Well, thank you, sir. Let me hear from this other lady,
Yes,
okay?
yes,
Ma'am, if you would tell us your name, please.
Good morning. My name is Sandra Davis, and I live at 4301 Stanwood Avenue, further down Stanwood Avenue. And when I go home, I go down Bel Air Road and make a right. Stanwood Avenue is a one-way street. Parking, my only bad issue. I'm kind of on the senior side, so if I hit somebody, as he was saying, as the red car is always parked halfway in the middle of Stanwood, and then there's another car parked on the one-way side, all right, it's difficult. So my only issue is parking. I hear that you said that you had parking available somewhere. The only available parking that I can see by being there over 20 years is on the north side of Bel Air Road, not on the south. On the south side of Bel Air Road, not on the north side where you're located. So if you can find parking in that neighborhood, I wouldn't have any problem, okay? I'm sorry that they have to see your trash. I'm sorry that they have to see your rats. I'm too sorry that the buzzards had to come and eat the possums, okay? Yes, there are possums on Stanwood from the trash that your establishment that you're buying now, okay? So if you can take care of the trash and take care of the parking, I, at the end of Stanwood, would have no problem with it. But if you have a restaurant, a sit-down restaurant with live music, where we can come and sit and eat and not drink, sounds like a winner to me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Davis. Okay, did you want to respond? I mean, it was obvious that there was a lot of repetition of the complaints, and they had to do with the parking by during the previous ownership, and the clientele who come there, and the violence that emanates from that, and whatever. Did you want to comment about any of that?
I think we did have some comments. Mr. Strange, you've worked with a couple of local business owners in the area to make available their parking lots for your patrons in the evening, correct?
Yes, sir.
So about what capacity would it have?
One, I believe, can hold about 30 or 40 vehicles, and then one is a little further down that can hold, probably about the same amount. So, I mean, there are parking, remedies that are there. But again,
How would you get your patrons to use them? I mean, are they going to have to pay for that parking?
No, there's no paid parking, but they definitely will be aware that those are areas they can park via social media, via the website, those means. And, if, security, myself, sees, that people are parking, and I'm just going to use this street because it's been brought up a lot, Stanwood, that's going to be one of the areas I'm going to make sure, they're not blocking the intersection. I sympathize, with the rodents and the rats and, all those, other items there. I wish that, there was a resolution for them. I live in Baltimore City as well. There are no bars around me, but I still have possums that I found dead in my trash can. I have, rodents that are, constantly there. My job is to try and help and, diffuse some of this, but, I don't think that it's fair to say that this particular bar is the reason for all of it, but, I will definitely do my best to make sure that the community is happy.
If you see patrons coming around the corner from Stanwood, obviously parking there, your security guards would advise them to move their cars, go down the street, whatever it is, but not park in front of neighbors' driveways or block anything, correct?
Right, and it's just basically giving them, education on where they can park. And hopefully that the patrons that'll come will be regulars and they'll eventually realize, okay, I know I can park at this lot or I can park at this lot. And it'll just become second nature instead of parking on the public streets.
If you have a second, trash seems to be a big concern. Did you know it was as big a concern as the neighbors have indicated?
No.
Given that it's that big a concern, will you work with the neighbors to address it in any way possible so that it isn't an issue going forward?
I will, and I think I've said that several times. It's coming up with a resolution. I mean, if I have to get several 50-gallon trash cans, which I know Baltimore City has a limit on how much they'll actually take, but if I have to get trash cans to get this done, hire people to clean the sidewalks and the alleys for me, I mean, it's something I have to do.
With regards to the doorknob on the back door, is that an exit door?
It is an exit door. It's a fire exit door. There is a push bar inside, along with a exit sign that the fire marshal approved when he did the fire inspection.
So you've had a fire inspection already?
Yes.
Have you had a building inspection yet?
Yes.
And it, as of right now, to your knowledge, meets code
Yes,
in
sir.
the capacity that building and fire are concerned?
Yes, sir.
I'm not sure I have much more from Mr. Strange at this
Well,
point.
the commissioners may have some questions. I just have one question, and that is, how much have you invested into this location since you took it over?
I should have brought my receipts, but
Well, I mean, a rough
roughly
estimate.
maybe about $25,000 in renovations, interior, and there's still more that I want to do. But revenue has to come in before I can make some of those other changes.
Okay. Commissioners have questions?
I do. So you got a number of issues. The crowds, noise, trash, and parking. It sounds like you have a plan to address the parking, which is most effective with you putting something on your website or at the establishment telling people where they can park.
Yes, ma'am.
The trash, I think you've got some education, some learning that you need. You're a commercial property. You need to get a commercial vendor to help you with waste management. And there's a company, Waste Management, that does that. And it's not going to be enough for you to just get a 50-gallon trash can and hope that that accommodates it. Are you so?
Waste Management was the company that I spoke with in regards to getting the dumpster. But, again, that, takes time, and that takes a contract has to be done. And
It doesn't take that long, but it does take the commitment to get it done.
No, yes, I understand.
And the photographs, I'm not sure when those were taken, but they are alarming. And it's a health issue, in addition to not being neighborly and considerate of your most proximate neighbors. There's no reason why that should exist.
Right, and to address that, some of the photos that I saw on the website, I don't know if those are the same photos, do show bottles, do show bottles as well as cases of liquor. Because we're not open, we don't have any cases of liquor, so those, I believe, are old pictures. But I will say that, yes, we have had trash for the purposes of renovating, and
You got to take care of it on
Yes,
the
ma'am.
regular. And then you're not responsible for the former clientele and what happened. On a transfer, our real question is, are you someone to whom a license should be transferred? We look at the character of the transferee. And some of the concerns aside, I mean, I haven't heard anything that would say that you're a person of bad character that should not have a license. But I also think the concerns that have been brought up are real. And we're not here on a question of canceling this license or ending it. We would have a different hearing if that were what people had applied for. We're just here on a transfer.
Yes, ma'am.
But they've raised some very, very real concerns, and they are concerning.
If I may address that, Mr. Strange and I have had extensive conversations. I believe that a lot of the concerns, while absolutely valid, do apply more to the previous occupants and would be more in line with a protest. And I've indicated to him, given the concerns from the community, that if he doesn't get open and keep things in line and, and communicate openly, get the pests taken care of, get the trash taken care of, get the parking resolved, that he's not going to be open very long.
Right, and we're in a renewal phase, so this is a dangerous time to be making mistakes. I had another question. I forgot about it. So that's okay. That's enough.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Can it be on record where those parking places are, just so that we know there's really parking places? That he knows if he's
This is a.
There's
No.
We.
No. One person can speak at a time, and you have to be under oath. And did you?
I think we need to move on, but this is a case that cries out for a memorandum of
Well,
understanding.
it does, and that's where I was about to go. I know that you can present more evidence, and the commissioners can ask more questions, but the big elephant in the room is the fact that it isn't in place yet. The community has lots and lots of legitimate complaints about the prior place. He wants to run a different kind of place, but there's nothing that we can attach to the transfer of the license that requires him to do that until he has an MOU with the people who live in the community. So how do we get that done?
We are certainly open to an MOU. Mr. Strange has
Being
communicated
open,
that.
I'm asking you how, can you do it tomorrow is what I'm asking,
Well,
not.
the question is, Ms. Jackson seems to be the person we're supposed to talk to. We would be happy to talk to the deeders if they're open to that situation in terms of discussing, I guess a compromise or sort of middle ground that kind of gets everyone, maybe not a.
Who is Ms. Jackson?
But she's apparently the head of the community organization. So
We've never met her, none of us.
And I apologize, I'm not trying to speak for you.
you all, excuse me, but you're not members of that association?
We're not. In the past, when we've been here.
You have to
before-
speak into the microphone, ma'am.
Sorry, I'm under oath. In the past, when we've been here before, we had to represent ourselves because neither Parkside or Frankfurt ever really represented us. We're this block, Moravia, Stanwood, that is
Well-
left out in the cold.
Well, he
and-
may have been misinformed as well, because if he was reaching out to the local community organizations, he wasn't made aware that you all were out there. So
We would be happy to meet with what I would hope would be the new Stanwood Community Group to get an MOU taken care of. Our concern is, I guess there's a time concern for us. We're trying to get things done as soon as possible. There's always a money issue involved, of course. That certainly doesn't take precedent over the community's concerns. If there was a situation where perhaps if the board so saw it as it being the best decision, if we could hold it over till maybe the next hearing, or contingent upon the MOU, we would be certainly willing to do that. Our concern is just that we
Well, I can't speak for the other commissioners, but I'm not sure I'm prepared to transfer it in this situation without an MOU in place. So I like your suggestion of trying to get one and get this back in fairly promptly, but I'll defer to the other commissioners.
I would go along with that, because I mean, my instinct is that this is like one of the worst places in the whole city to have this bar. And these people are all impacted, and they have a right to live peaceably. And the only way that's going to happen is it's all on you now. So we need you to take the leadership and make this happen for them and yourself.
But let me just be clear, because, no one's going to be satisfied with vague commitments to, create parking. You're going to have a plan. Parking will be available of so many slots at such an address, and we will be posting this in the very front of our facility, and our security guy will be directing people, that kind of specific thing. Same with the trash and having a management system in place, and who you've contracted with and what hours they're going to do it, and all those kinds of things need to be very specific. And then I'll be much more inclined to say, Mr. Strange has made an enormous investment and commitment in changing this, and I'm inclined to give him the license.
No, I agree with my colleagues. I would love to have an MOU worked out and come back in front of us in 2 weeks. What I see is a community that has had a really, really terrible experience from the other licensees. No disrespect to you, Mr. Strange. I think you've proven yourself to be quite credible. But I think I'm also troubled that Mr. Zorzit isn't here, because I think there's a lot of questions there. But I'm at the same time struggling with the fact that and it's important for the community to understand this, even if we decline to transfer it, Mr. Zorzit can seek to transfer it to any other licensee down the road to come in back before us. So the question in my mind is whether Mr. Strange's engagement, management will improve the situation. And so I'm hopeful that an MOU will get us there, and I think it would demonstrate good faith.
Can I talk to my client for just one moment away from the podium?
Sure. The
I
commissioner had one more question.
When did this bar close?
I'm unsure of when the bar closed. I have the same sheet from the liquor board. I didn't file the application. Mr. Kadensky had me filling in today. I think I'm supposed to say this is an outrage 3 or 4 times throughout the day. I'm not sure. He said I had to.
Well, it is an outrage.
Mr. Harvey filed this?
My understanding from the liquor board sheet is that it might be that Mr. Zorzit filed it. I think that's what the
It says
sheet
Sean
says.
Harvey's name is on this. Yeah.
Well, we need to, I mean, you know where I'm going. I want to know when this place closed, and
Certainly.
if this license is even valid. I guess
reasonable
is,
question.
yeah, I think so too. Okay. Yeah, but it doesn't say when it ceased operation. There was an application to we'll deal with it.
Okay.
All right.
Well, I just want to make 2 more points, and that is, you're sort of in a difficult situation because normally you negotiate an MOU with a community organization. Sounds like they're not being all that responsive right now, but all the neighbors here are. So, you're going to have to figure out the best way to negotiate this on behalf of your client with the people who are really interested.
I think the people here seem to be the people, because they're here, that are the most interested. So
Okay.
I think Ms. Jackson, unfortunately, may have to take a back seat in this situation.
And I just want to emphasize to the folks here what Commissioner Greenfield said, and that is, it isn't a matter of whether Mr. Zorzit can sell this license. He can. who does he want to sell it to? And if this man is responsible and is willing to work with you, maybe he's your best choice. But I'm not making that decision for you. You got to sit down at the negotiating table and figure that out, so.
And it's not just us, it's everybody. I mean, we got, yeah, we're just the ones who aren't working today to be here.
Okay, well, please make yourselves available, because he doesn't have a long leash on this. He's got to come back here in 2 weeks with something in place. So if you would be good enough to make yourselves available promptly and work with his lawyer, hopefully we can all come back and work something out.
And thank you. And Chairman, one last, can Mr. Zorzit have a license? With,
That's a whole nother,
Yeah, he hasn't asked for it. He's the secured creditor in this situation.
you don't have it now to transfer it? He's not the one that keeps transferring it to everyone? Can he even
Not
have
the
one?
licensee technically.
He's not the licensee. Okay.
Thank you.
But thank you all. I appreciate everybody. And Mr. Strange, this is not a no. This is actually a very positive result, I think, for you. Once you get this worked out, I think it'll be much smoother for you, and you'll know what your obligations are specifically, okay? Thanks.
Thank you.
2
Appreciate
weeks
it.
we'll be back.
Appreciate it.
Can we do that, Mr. Akris?
Yes, we can do that.
Okay, thank you.
And just for the purposes of the hearing, is it a decision phase, or will the board be taking more evidence?
I think we're going to want to look at the MOU if it's in place, so
Okay.
yes.
All right.
Okay?
Sounds fine.
And, hear that everybody's satisfied. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to call the
Please.
It's on the record. It's on the record. That's okay, I'm sorry. Board Exhibit 1,
thank you for coming in.
I'd like to call the exhibits at this time. Board Exhibit 1, various letters of from community members received as a packet. Applicant 1, email between Mr. Strange and Michael Hilliard, dated November 30th, 2016. Applicants, Exhibit 2, petition of support. Community opposition, Exhibit 1, list of neighboring liquor licenses. Exhibit number 2, dates of killings in the area. Exhibit number 3, photos of property, exterior, 3 photos received. Thank you.
Calling the next case, Christopher Schiefert, Concetta Sokoto Schiefert, and Michael Sabrakos. City Line Food Incorporated, trade name is Pending, 6506 Bel Air Road. This is a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license. It's an application to transfer ownership, a continuation of live entertainment, outdoor table service, and a request for off-premise catering and delivery of alcoholic beverages.
Counsel?
Yes, for the record, Robert Taylor on behalf of Mr. Sheffert and the applicants.
Gentlemen, would you raise your right hands, please?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And when you speak, would you lean into the microphone so that we can record it? Okay. Counsel?
Yes, hi. Mr. Sheffert, you're the applicant for the transfer, your contract purchaser of the business that was known as O'Hara's Pub. This is actually a corporation,
Correct.
and you're the president and shareholder in this business?
That is correct.
Okay, Ms. Taylor, can you lean into your mic there and turn it towards you? Thanks.
So you're the president and the shareholder of City Line Food, Inc.?
That is correct.
And the other applicants, Connie Scotto Sheffert, who is also an officer and shareholder in the company,
That is correct.
and as Michael Sabrakos.
That is correct.
And just for the record, Connie's actually your wife.
That is correct.
Okay. You signed the application on behalf of the corporation.
Yes, sir.
The information that you provided in the application, true and correct?
That is correct.
Do you currently own or have an interest in any business with a liquor license?
No, sir.
And you're not employed by a liquor distributor or wholesaler?
Not as of today.
Do you have any prior experience in the restaurant and bar business?
I got over pretty much 18 years in the restaurant industry.
Most recently?
Most recently, I worked for Ruby Tuesdays. Worked out at the Lock Raven store, so I'm familiar with a lot of the Baltimore City rules and regulations. So, I mean,
And do you have your alcohol awareness certification?
yes, I am currently tip certified.
And did you reach out to the local community association, the Sedmont Community
Said mine,
Association?
yes. We spoke to Linda, and, I mean, she approves the transfer. She has no,
Linda Grosser.
yeah, I'm not 100%.
We have an email from her, which has already been received, indicating that they do not oppose the transfer. But when you said Linda, I just wanted to be clear for the record who you were speaking. She's the president of the Cedarmont Community Organization.
That is correct.
And what are your plans for the location?
Basically, we're going to take the existing property, which is, I mean, well, right now, well-run, and just try to enhance it for the community and for ourselves to be able to make a better business for the community and ourselves.
You plan to make some renovations?
In all due time. I mean, money comes first, and then we plan to take those make any type of work as we proceed forward.
How many folks do you plan to employ?
I mean, as is speak, I mean, Romaine, we'd like to have at least 10 employees on premise. I mean,
And the current operation has live entertainment, outdoor service, and catering?
that is correct.
Okay, and you're going
And Mr. Lance, I mean, is right behind. He works a lot with the community.
you have to step up and give your name before you testify.
My name's Lance O'Hara, current owner and operator of O'Hara's Irish Pub. Currently has outdoor table service, live entertainment, but it doesn't have the off-premise catering, which they're applying for.
Okay, and what's the nature of your live entertainment?
DJ, Irish band, St. Patty's Day, karaoke.
Okay, thank you. And you're going to continue the same?
Pretty much continue the same. I mean, as the events come around, I mean, like some holidays and so forth, just try to be able to work with that. There might be some, we might do the same thing, karaoke.
Are you still going to be an Irish pub?
No, we were going to change that.
I guess that there
I'm
goes
part Irish, but-
St. Patty's
yeah.
Day.
You can always contribute to St. Patty's Day without being Irish.
Yeah, Mr. O'Hara,
I am part
how
Irish.
long have you operated at that location?
I've been here for the last 18 years, first 9 with me and my mother-in-law, and last 9 solo.
Have you ever had any difficulty or problems with the community?
Not with the community, no. We are very heavily involved in the community. We do food drives for the local church, Epiphany Lutheran Church, which is where Cedarmont Homeowners Association operates out of. We run outdoor benefits, which we get permits all for outdoor entertainment once a year. The Raven's Nest that operates out of the pub there, raise money for local communities, associations. Most recently was $8,000 in August for John Hopkins Sunshine Camp, cancer camp for kids.
Okay, do the commissioners have questions?
Are you still at Ruby Tuesday? Or
No, ma'am.
You're not. Where are you working now?
I am currently, I mean, I'm.
Working on this project?
Exactly.
Okay,
exactly.
and when you were at Ruby Tuesday, what were you doing there?
I was a general manager.
General manager, so you would order alcohol?
I was basically taking care of the whole business, I mean, but working for the corporation.
Okay. All right, thank you.
No problem.
Just one question. Mr. Scotto, you're not Mr. Scotto. Mario Scotto, is he present?
He is. He's actually.
Okay, so I noticed that Mr. Scotto, who is a partner in this effort, also owns a liquor license somewhere else in the city. At least that's what the application says. No? So that was a mistake. I just,
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not, it's just on our, Mr. Akras, I think I've read that, right? Maybe it was just,
That would be a mistake on the
It was a
application.
Number 4.
previous liquor license.
The
That
gentleman
wasn't
would-
Mr. Scotto.
He'd
that
have
was-
to be sworn in. Can you raise your right hand, please, sir?
All right, can you raise your hand?
Yes.
I can explain it. Yeah.
Hold on a second, everybody. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? And state your name and spell it.
My name is Mario Scotto.
so Mr. Scotto,
Excuse
Mike,
me, wait, he wanted you to spell it, so. It's Scotto, is that
TTO,
correct?
yes.
Okay.
So Mr. Scotto, maybe I'm not clear. The question 4 on the application says, has the applicant or applicants ever held a liquor license? So have you ever held a liquor license?
Yeah.
Okay, do you currently own a liquor license?
Do you have one now?
You have one now, a liquor license.
No, I never had. I don't know.
Have you ever?
I was the one in Stavazza.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and one, they close.
They closed. Did you have any issues?
No, none,
No
no.
issues. Okay.
No.
That's all my questions. Thank you.
Okay. Anything further from the commissioners? No. Okay. On the basis of the record before the board, including the materials that were submitted and the proffers from council and the testimony that we've received today, I would vote to approve the transfer.
I would as well.
I concur. Good luck.
Yeah,
Good luck to you all. Thank you.
I think the hardest part is going to be transferring from an Irish pub of 18 years to something else. Yeah, you know.
There are exhibits to be
Up,
announced.
Yes.
Sorry.
Board Exhibit 1, email dated January 4th, 2017, between Linda Gruz and Christopher Shefford.
That it?
Thank you.
Hold on.
Are you ready?
Okay. Next calling Harman Arneja and Gormahan Arneja and Roland Sanders, Haas Joss Corporation, trading as Hamilton Liquors, 5418 Hartford Road. This is a Class A beer, wine, and liquor license application to transfer ownership.
Good afternoon, Honorable Commissioners.
Good afternoon.
I apologize.
Are you, this is your case? Okay. So would you please identify yourself for the record, counsel?
Yes, Abraham Hurdle for Haas Jaws Corporation, trading as Hamilton Liquors, Harman, Aneja, Gormahan, Aneja, and Ronald Sanders. The last one's a little easier than the other two.
And can I ask the gentlemen to raise their right hands, please?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I'm going to apologize to the commission for my tardiness. We're trying to set up a time to meet.
That's all right, I
The previous
understand.
one, and it's
Before you begin, Mr. Sanders, who is Mr. Sanders? Have you, sir, have you ever been represented by the law firm of Whiteford, Taylor, and Preston?
No.
Okay, it's just, the name Sanders showed up on my conflict sheet, and I have to ask. Okay, thank you. You may proceed.
With me, I have the prospective licensees who are trying to buy the location at 5418 Harford Road. I also have a letter of support from the Hamilton Main Street. do only have
I
one
believe we
copy.
have that.
One.
We do. Thank
It will be
This is an
received.
existing A license in this location. If I may, I can probably proffer more or less most of the
Okay.
information needed. Mr. Sanders has been on license since May 2015. And the two other gentlemen are father and son. Senior is a lawyer in Silver Spring, and his son has been, has had about 20 years of experience in the industry. They are aware of the different rules. I've explained to them the importance of making sure they card anybody who looks like they're under 30 or 35, all being alcohol awareness certified, and making sure that they buy from wholesalers and no one else. Also, I've indicated that the hours are fairly strict and you can't go over in any capacity. And as always, trash is a concern that they have to address, although less of a concern with an A license, and that they're not allowed to be open on Sundays. Other than that, I'd have the commissioners have any questions if they'd like. The location has been in existence for, I believe, a while.
Are there plans to make any changes to it?
There are no plans to make any changes. The son will be there just about every open hour. Mr. Sanders will be helping out, and the father will be there on occasion to help out as well. He'll be working part-time when he's not. He was telling me that he works till 10 every evening as an attorney.
He's
so
trying to
gonna work
inspire
very, very
you.
little part-time. Yeah, they called yesterday at 4:45, and I was like, no, I'm always here till 6. And they're like, my father works till 10. And I was like, sorry.
Okay. Commissioners?
No questions.
No questions.
Okay, well then, on the basis of the record that's been presented, including, we've received a letter from Regina Lansinger, who is the director of the Hamilton Main Street Lauraville Association, that they are in support of the transfer of this Class A license to these gentlemen and the proffers of counsel. I would vote to approve the transfer.
I concur.
I would agree.
Thank you very much.
Good luck to you.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
May we be excused?
Yes.
Thank you.
Get that thing scheduled.
You have exhibit.
Board Exhibit 1, letter dated 12/30/2016.
I cut you off again.
Oh.
You're good. Sorry.
Board Exhibit 1, letter dated December 30th, 2016, from Hamilton Main Street, Laurelville, in support. Thank you.
I need a second.
Okay, take your time. Hold on, hold on, hold on.
Who are all those people down there? Exactly. Who are all those people?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Then why are they?
Next, calling Andrew Dunlap and Michael White, the Sobo Taco Spot LLC, trading as Banditos, 118 South Charles Street, units 110 and 111. This is a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license. Application transfer ownership and request to expand premise to include 118 South Charles Street, unit 101 for business.
Identify yourself for the record, Mr. Previs.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Peter Previs on behalf of the licensees. Michael White is to my far right, and Andrew Dunlap is to my immediate right.
Mr. White, have you ever been represented by White for Taylor and Preston? Okay. Your name also came up on my conflict sheet. Yes, there are. And these individuals wish to testify as well? Can everyone raise their right hands, please?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this hearing will be the whole truth, and nothing but the
Is
truth?
that mine? No. Okay.
And is there a memorandum of understanding? Is that what I'm
There,
being given?
there is with the South Baltimore Neighborhood Association.
And that is not you folks? No. Okay.
Who spoke? I don't have your name, so two people spoke without names.
Yeah, okay. When you have to speak into the microphone.
Ivo Yamarosh, representing the Federal Hill Neighborhood Association Liquor Advisor. JAMROSZ.
That's your last name?
That's my last name. First name, IVO.
Okay, and ma'am?
My name is Brooke McDonald, BROOKE MCDONALD. I'm the Vice President of the Federal Hill Neighborhood Association. You should have a letter from us in your file.
We have one from Beth Whitmer. Is that the president?
Yes,
Okay.
that's hers.
And who are these other folks? Can you tell us your names, please?
Henry Valeri, I'm from the Towers at Harbor Court
We have a
Condominium
letter
Association.
from
Yes,
you as
sir.
well. Okay.
Sir, your last, everybody needs to spell their names.
V-A-L-E-R-I.
Excuse me?
V-A-L-E-R-I.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Mount, ELIZABETH, and then my last name is Mount, M-O-U-N-T. I'm representing the Downtown Baltimore Family Alliance.
Pamela Trangenstein, TRANGENSTEIN.
Does anybody have a snack for Bryce, our court reporter? I think he's a little hungry.
Pamela.
We need a baby Ruth.
Can everyone come up and sign your name onto the paper, please?
I'd say that the record is.
Everyone who's going to testify.
It's been a challenge today. Happy 2017.
Okay, so Mr. Previs, why don't you begin?
Thank you. If I could just begin with a bit of background on this application. Banditos is an existing restaurant with a liquor license, with a Class BD7 liquor license. Banditos has been in operation since November of 2012 and has had a Class D liquor license since June of 2013. Sometime subsequent to that, they purchased a Class BD7 and swapped the D for the BD7 and have operated under a Class BD7 liquor license. The existing space is 1118 South Charles Street, units 110 and 111. The proposed expansion is to Unit 101 that was occupied by the yogurt establishment called Forever Yogurt, which is immediately to the south of the existing Banditos premises. So this application is to request an expansion of approximately 2,000 square feet into the new yogurt space. Additionally, on the application, you'll see that there was a city resident licensee, Mr. Bruce Richardson, who's since moved to Colorado, and Mr. Dunlap, who has been a manager of the premises is coming on as a 50% owner and a licensee of the premises. But he's been involved with the operation for quite some time. So there is a memorandum of understanding with the South Baltimore Neighborhood Association. The boundary line, and correct me if I am inaccurate about this, I believe the boundary line between Federal Hill and South Baltimore is Cross Street, and this new space is about 3 or 4 doors in to the south on Charles Street from Cross Street. So the boundary line is South Baltimore, but it's very close to Federal Hill.
Have the people who have given us oppositions to the transfer, have you had an opportunity to see the memorandum of understanding?
No, we have not.
Okay. Let me share this with you maybe before, and so you can see what has been negotiated here before we get into a lot of protest, okay? And did you have anything else you wanted to present?
I just wanted to give the board a little background. Mr. Dunlap can speak to the proposed expansion and some of the parameters that went into negotiating the memorandum of understanding.
So what you're asking, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but Banditos is there,
Yes.
the yogurt place closed, they
Yes.
want to take over the yogurt
Yes.
thing, and how much larger would that make you?
2,000 square feet. It's approximately $6,500 a month rent. The landlord is here. It's all one building. It's already, the lot has been consolidated. I believe historically it was one building. The partition wall where the openings would be are sheet rock, and they would be removed. And the other part of it is the concept. There's no new ownership, no second establishment, but what they see as the need is the type of food that would be served there, which would, as they call it, a craft deli. There's nowhere in the South Baltimore area for a craft deli.
What is a craft deli?
There is do we have a packet that has a menu? May we?
Before you go any further, the landlord you referenced, what's his name?
Ali?
You have to speak into the microphone.
Spell your name too.
Ali is my first name, A-L-I, which I go by Amir, my nickname, which some of my 10 customers are here. And my last name is Ahmadinea, A-H-M-A-D-I-N-I-A.
Thank you, sir.
And your LLC is 1018 South Charles Street LLC?
Yes,
That's the actual landlord?
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
If I may, may I pass
Yes.
these out?
Let's make sure Ms. Russell gets one.
Okay.
Thank you.
Didn't you present a hamburger joint to us?
It's a craft deli and hamburger joint, correct?
I don't even know who's who here. What's your name?
Brooke McDonald.
All right, and what was your name?
Andrew Dunlap.
Okay.
D-U-N-L-A-P.
So can you explain, Mr. Dunlap, what it is, the confusion here?
If I can just reference you to the last 3 pages, the third to the last page is a concept, and the last 2 pages are a menu, but Mr. Dunlap, can you address that, please?
Correct. What you have in front of you is basically kind of a synopsis of the concept that we're proposing. We don't want to expand the Banditos concept, as we see there's a need for what we propose as a craft deli, burger, and beer wine bar. We don't see a need to expand on the Mexican-style food, whereas we see that this concept that we propose to you is something that we feel the neighborhood lacks. It's something where we leave the neighborhood to get this style of food.
And where would you go to get this style of food?
Outside of Federal Hill, Hamden, our house, even Belvedere Square, the market there. Our house is a great market that's in Remington now. So this is just something that we see as a need for the Federal Hill neighborhood. Some of the other pieces in that packet are what we have discussed with the South Baltimore Neighborhood Association. We've been in relation with them for nearly 8 years now. In the MOU, it states certain restrictions and things that we had agreed upon. One being if we were to sell, which we do not have a plan, that our liquor license could be changed to a 50/50 food and alcohol service. Also, there's negotiations with us and the landlord that we do want to purchase the building, and if we do get this space, we will be actually occupying over 30% of the space, and we've actually already been pre-approved by M&T Bank for not only the renovations, but for the actual purchase of the building.
Now, one of your negotiating, points of negotiation with the South Baltimore Neighborhood Association was the kitchen. Can you
Correct.
describe that to the board?
Yeah, and you have a breakdown in there of, basically, we've been working with some architectural design firms and also restaurant design firms as well. So we believe in brands, which is something that we feel that, not completely that the neighborhood lacks, but it's something that, I'm a young operator, and I see the importance in that. So with the South Baltimore Neighborhood Association, the agreement was that is if we do a full renovation of this space and include a kitchen. So it's not essentially expanding the bar from Banditos. We're bringing in a whole nother food concept. It's 2,000 square feet. 700 square feet of that is to be a brand new kitchen. The full actual renovation will be nearing $500,000. So it's not a small project. There's a lot of risk in this for us. But this is something that we feel is a good move for us business-wise.
And you've submitted in your packet a proposal as far as the construction?
Correct.
And what is the number on that?
Nearing
Approximately?
$500,000.
Okay,
Correct.
and that's substantially more than your initial estimate of 50,000?
Correct. The SBNA wanted to see substantial investment into the kitchen, which you'll see in there is, it also includes HVAC, which isn't, they didn't break it down to be specifically kitchen. What you don't see is actual kitchen equipment, so that's a very substantial amount. Just in HVAC and kitchen equipment alone, it's gonna be nearing the 200,000 mark.
Now, the additional space will be, how many additional seats?
Roughly 60. We have,
And the floor plan that's attached to the transfer application, is that still an accurate
that
depiction?
is an accurate floor plan, correct?
Okay, and there's no space in this for standing area or live entertainment or stand-up bar patrons, is that correct?
I mean, it's a social atmosphere, but yes, the arrangement is there will be dining, seating throughout.
Okay. Now, just so it's clear for the board in their packet, the existing Bandito space at 110 and 111 already has an outdoor table service?
Correct.
And it already has live entertainment?
Correct.
And the existing Forever Yogurt space has existing outdoor table service that, in fact, you used the same architect to do both at the same time before the zoning board?
Correct.
So there's already an outdoor table service?
Yes.
What there is not, and what you have not applied to the zoning board for, is live entertainment on the yogurt side, on the
Correct.
101 side. Is that correct?
Correct, but we have taken the preliminary steps with SBNA, and they have also approved us to that.
In the event that you were
That we
to
do get-
add?
correct.
If you were to request the board to add that later, what would you be requesting?
Acoustic acts, which is, we've gone through this process with the actual 110 and 111 space, is we've worked hand in hand with the neighborhood, and over the years that we have abided, they've been happy with our performance. So we went to them saying that in the event that we do get this new space, that we would also like to have, the live entertainment, acoustic 1-, 2-man bands, not full bands or anything of that nature.
Okay. And how many additional people would be employed?
Roughly 20. We employ roughly 30 people at the 110 and 111 space, so we look to employ another 20 or so people.
And hours of operation and when food would be available?
It would be the same hours as what 110 and 111 would be. So we would open for lunch Monday through Friday, 11. The bar would close at 2 a.m. And then on the weekends, we would open up for brunch 10 a.m. and bar closes at 2. Kitchen will close at 11.
And the kitchen will close at 11 p.m. for the deli?
That's the plan, correct.
That's the plan, okay.
So, just so I'm clear, I'm not a Banditos person, so I assume this is a restaurant and a bar, Banditos.
Correct.
Okay. And when you go next door, you're going to have table service for sandwiches and burgers, right?
Correct. So the concept is we do.
You can order a beer or wine with that, I guess.
Absolutely.
But there's no bar?
There will be a bar. In the drawing, you can see that it spans the one side. I think it's the fourth to last page on that packet.
Because Mr. Previs had said there wouldn't be any standing, or, so the bar is just to service the table?
There's seats
Mr.
at the
Chairman,
bar.
if I could just direct your attention to the drawing, which is page 5 of the transfer application.
Okay.
And what I meant by that, not to try to pull the wool over anybody's eyes, but the rear portion is the kitchen, which is a substantial percentage of the square footage. And then after, in the front facing Charles Street, there is a bar on the south end of the space, but there are tables in the middle, and there's a counter table space upon the north side, and there's tables in the front. It's not designed as a wide open bar. It's designed as a restaurant, was the point that I was trying to make.
Okay.
Now, Mr. Dunlap, you obviously you met with the South Baltimore Neighborhood Association because you entered into a memorandum of understanding. Did you also meet with the Federal Hill Association?
Correct.
Okay, and you reached out to them, and they apparently have decided to oppose your request, but you did totally communicate with them. Is that
Correct. Communication was good.
Okay. I have no further questions.
Okay, so those who object, can you come up and identify yourselves and give us your specific objections?
Commissioner Greenfield has a question.
Yeah, sure, I didn't hear.
No, that's right. I want to make sure I understand this, Mr. Priebus. So Banditos has a license. Actually, Banditos, as I understand, just make sure I understand this, basically has 2 licenses. It had BD7, it switched, right? So this second license, because that's really what I'm trying to understand, because you had mentioned that there were 2 licenses that.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just want to make sure I understand the transfer, but also explain.
Okay, and I'm going to digress a little bit and just historically to explain how this all came about. The initial license that Banditos had was a Class D beer, wine, and liquor license, which provides for 6 days a week, 1 o'clock. I had filed an application on their behalf to apply for live entertainment, which was granted on that Class D license. And then I applied to qualify that license as a Class D special amusement license. That request was denied by a prior liquor board. As a result of that being denied, Banditos, or the Sobo Taco Spot LLC, entered into a contract to purchase a Class BD7 license from another location, I believe at 1400 block South Charles Street. And in consideration for exchanging the Class D license to that location and an additional $400,000, Banditos obtained a Class BD7 license, which exists now. So it's only 1 license, and this request is to expand next door with landlord's
Space
approval
issue,
for an
right.
additional 2,000 square feet.
Under 1 license.
Under 1 license. Yes, sir.
Okay, and sir, your name again, please?
It's Ivo Yamrosh.
And sir, what did you want to tell us?
Several things. We did, as part of the Federal Hill Neighborhood Association, we did meet with Mr. Dunlap and had some good communications. He presented to the Neighborhood Association and presented an idea and a concept that this was going to be a fancy Texas-style burger place, and it was going to be a restaurant, and it was going to attract different folks than Banditos does at the present time. So that was a different idea that's been presented here, first of all. We also heard that Banditos, I think, has an occupancy of 150, and this new unit is going to add an additional, according to Mr. Dunlap's presentation, an additional 70 to 100 additional seats.
I thought you just said 60, I'm sorry.
Well, that's what he said, but that's not what he told us when we had a presentation at the neighborhood meeting. So our opposition is based on the fact that there is no need for this. that they're not presenting anything that's new or unique, that there is an overwhelming number of mega bars, which this then will become. There's a mega bar right next door it. There's a mega bar across from it. There are 2 mega bars across from it. That their primary source of revenue is alcohol. If you can give me the numbers of the percentage of food versus alcohol served in the restaurant and in the place across the street that you both have some investment in. I've been told that it's somewhere in the vicinity of 20%. Is that accurate?
With Banditos, I think that's irrelevant because it's not a 50/50 license.
I understand, but what percentage of food? It
It
is.
is roughly 25% food, correct. But the seating also pertains to, because there's 60 seats, as you can see in the drawing, that doesn't mean your occupancy is 60. When the fire marshal comes in, he looks at the seats, but also measures space, and that's how you get the 70 to 100. I was being generous in saying that to you guys in the event that if it was more people, that you would be aware of it. I'm presenting it now to the board. They asked how many seats. In the drawing, there's 60 seats.
Right, but you also have outdoor space and seats that can also, people will be able to stand around the bar. So the point in the neighborhood is trying to make is that there is no desire for another mega bar. We've gone through this process with several of the other large bars where they've started small, decided to expand. He theoretically eventually could possibly go into the second floor of their building. And the neighborhood has voted time and time again that there was no reason for expansion of these type of licenses. If he was opening a regular restaurant, we'd have no problem with it. The other question is, how can you have 2 different operations, 2 different kitchens, 2 different sets of, one is a burger or deli joint, the other is a taco place. How can you have 2 different bars and under 1 license? Is this something that's permissible? That's one of the questions. The other thing is, as we've all read in the papers, the police have again said they're understaffed. We've had conversations and before you and the previous board about how difficult it is to control the crowds on Saturdays and Friday nights. And Banditos is right smack in the middle of Charles Street, where there are tremendous amounts of problems. The streets have to be closed. People emerge at 2 o'clock. We had a shooting not that long ago there, not in front of Banditos, but in that general area. So the neighborhood's position is that there was no reason whatsoever for this establishment to expand into another mega bar. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for the gentleman? Okay.
One quick question, Mr. Chairman. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. Yamush?
Yeah.
Mr. Yamush, you live close by to Banditos?
Yes, 810 William Street.
Okay. And as far as your personal experience, you haven't noticed any issues with Banditos you talked about?
None whatsoever, except that the issues that we have is with all the mega bars, which I consider Bandito part and parcel, what happens on 2 o'clock on Saturday night, Friday night, way past my bedtime, and the issues that we hear from the police, that the police has difficulty maintaining order, and then Banditos is also a member of the bar crawl, which we've had a lot of issues with also. So,
okay, but as far as the management
personally,
of
no.
Banditos-
Drew and I like those guys. They're stand-up people, and can't say enough good things about them.
Thank you, sir.
Sure.
Do you want to add anything?
Yes, my name is Brooke McDonald, and I think the thing that we would love some clarification on is it possible to take one single license, blow a hole in the wall, and expand into the other building? Because this seems to be the issue we're dealing with time and time again. Like, knock down the walls, and then you can take over the whole space, and who knows when it will be full and when it will be 300 or 400 people in there. So this is something we've been trying to get a handle on, and otherwise we're just swimming in bar stools over in Federal Hill.
Understand. And sir, your name?
Henry
You have to speak into the microphone.
Henry Valeri.
And Mr. Valeri, what did you want to add?
Well, you have my letter on file.
Yes.
I believe they've seen it. One few things I'd like to add. I believe there's a duty here from Bandidos to demonstrate there's a reasonable necessity for what they want to do. And we maintain that the community is currently overwhelmed, excess capacity. We have 32 bars listed in the 4x4 in the presentation, and that will rise to 40 in about a month, maybe 2 months, when the Cross Street Market gets their bundled license for 8 additional stalls serving alcohol. What this leads to is competition through price and promotion. You're going to have half-price alcohol days, bar crawls, you name it. This attracts more binge drinkers, and we're already the bar crawl binge drinker center of probably the state. We feel there's no reasonable need for additional bar stools. But I read your MOU, and one of the things that concerns me is you mentioned on noise control that you're going to meet the standards of 2 sections of the law, and you don't mention the third, which is the entertainment noise. And I find that kind of curious why you'd be so specific on the other 2 and leave that out.
Is that a question for Mr. Dunlap?
It's just a question for the board.
Okay. Anything further? Did you want to add something?
No, I just want to say I can't speak on the behalf of SBNA, but that we were aware, we thought that was included in there because that's always been just standard in MOU. I also did want to add that with the market, that I think the proposal from the Caves Valley Partners was that the market would close at, I think, 11 on the weekdays and 12 on the weekends, which wouldn't, in our eyes, see a cause for concern at the 2 o'clock when these proposed mega bars let out. I also did want to just basically touch on the fact that our concept isn't, it's not an attempt to just create more bar space. As we proposed before, or as we said before, that we believe in brands, and if we do add up the number of liquor licenses or establishments in the Federal Hill neighborhood, I do not stand by maybe a small handful of them to be well-branded, well-operated establishments. I do believe that our supporters and people that will stand by us, one being the SBNA, as we've dealt with them for so long, they can attest to that. So I just wanted to add my 2 cents. And what we are offering is something that is actually different. A good craft beer bar and a natural wine list provided by educated people that are part of my team now does offer new offerings. So I just wanted to add that 2 cents.
Okay.
If I might add, across the street, about 20 yards away, you have Mother's. They have a special menu of 20 different kinds of hamburgers. So I don't know, I don't see the need, the necessity for the community to bring something new, which is not really new.
Okay. These ladies wanted to add something.
Good afternoon. My name is Pamela Trangenstein, and I am a doctoral student from the Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health, and I'm here today to talk to you from a public health research perspective. My comments today are my own views and do not represent the official position of the Bloomberg School or the Johns Hopkins University. Baltimore City is already oversaturated with alcohol outlets, and the Federal Hill neighborhood is especially. I know you're aware of the moratorium on new liquor licenses as long as there's more than 1 per every 1,000 residents. Right now, Federal Hill has 1 liquor license per every 81 residents. My research focuses on alcohol-related harms to others, which is how drinkers drinking can hurt people other than the drinker. And this is important because a lot of times we don't think about suffering alcohol-related harms if you aren't drinking dangerously or if you aren't drinking at all. And the most commonly studied harms to other is violence. And the literature repeatedly shows that the more alcohol outlets there are in a neighborhood, the more likely violence is to go up. My own research has been analyzing this in the Baltimore City using 2015 data, and I found that for each additional on-premise outlet in a census tract, violent crime goes up by 1.5%, and each additional off-premise outlet increases violent crime by 3.3%. This is similar to a study using 2010 Baltimore City data that found each additional on-premise outlet increased violent crime by 3.1%, and each additional off-premise outlet increased violent crime by 4.8%. The violent crime from alcohol use in Baltimore is costing the city and residents a lot of money. In 2015, alcohol use leading to violent crime cost $284 million in Baltimore City and $405.5 thousand in Federal Hill alone, which is $156 per Federal Hill resident. There's other additional harms to others that are linked with alcohol outlet density in the literature. Residents with neighborhoods that have more alcohol outlets in them report being kept awake at night, feeling unsafe in public places, and being annoyed by vomit, urination, and litter more than residents of neighborhoods with fewer outlets. And each kilometer closer to an alcohol outlet that you live increases your odds of being kept awake at night by 4% and your odds of property damage by 7%. In conclusion, based on my own research and my review of the literature, I would urge you to vote in opposition of this measure. Thank you.
Thank you. Did you have any questions for her? Okay. Ma'am. Hi. Please step up to the mic.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Mount. I'm representing the Downtown Baltimore Family Alliance. I was also going to kick in my views just as a doctoral candidate at George Mason University, the founding executive director of the that's the organization I'm with now. My former organization, I was the founding executive director of the Center for Gender and Violence at George Mason University. I'm a foremost expert on gendered violence. So let me make a quick note in that capacity before I move on to Downtown Baltimore Family Alliance. I'm the executive director of that organization. Some of our concerns do stem from the possibility of increased sexual violence, simply from the fact people drinking heavily 2 a.m. So it's a cause for concern, not a reason that we would want to say you shouldn't do this, but it's something that we would like you to take into account when you're continuing to consider an expansion. So moving away from the sexual violence issue, as the executive director of the Downtown Baltimore Family Alliance, we represent over 3,500 families living specifically in the South Baltimore area. We have about 5,000 families throughout the city, many of whom start their journey as families in Fed Hill. They bought a small little cute row house. First comes love, then comes baby, then comes a move to Towson. We try to interrupt that sequence because we think families are a really important component of healthy cities. Banditos plays a part in that. My husband and I enjoy going there. We have a 2.5-year-old, but it also has a little bit of a dark underside, and so for the purposes of illustrating this, I'll use a personal anecdote. My husband and I bought a house here when our son was 6 months old. We wanted to raise him in a diverse, eclectic, vibrant city. Restaurants are part of that. And we had Fed Hill Exploration Day one night. We went out, we had lunch at a couple places. I agree with you, there's a few different concepts that could be added that I think that you've presented some nice ideas. We'd love to see some of those. But later that night, we went looking for some food, and we love Mexican food. We stopped at Banditos. It was about 10 o'clock at that point. We were told, kitchen's closing, but you're welcome to drink here. And so as a family coming in looking to just relax and have a good time, but also get a bite to eat, it was very clear to us that we weren't the target customer. As we were walking away from the bouncer, who had politely informed us there was nothing wrong with your staff, there were several drunk folks in their young 20s, one of whom approached me. We had our kid in a buggy. And he said, "What the F are you doing here at this bar at this hour with your effing baby? You should get the F out of here." And as a family who had just bought a row house, spent over $170,000 renovating it to improve the community that we live in and to be a part of it, it was really off-putting for us to think about the kind of neighborhood that we had just moved to and the kind of people that we wanted to be spending time with. We think that there's a real public good for having vibrant local businesses that are headed by entrepreneurs willing to make risks and who believe in brands, who understand the ways in which unique concepts can contribute to the health and vitality, not to mention economic well-being of local areas. And we applaud you for that, but we think that there's some ways in which this could be concerning for the neighborhood. So let me just say first, that we don't have a dog in this fight beyond wanting to make sure that the neighborhood remains a family-friendly place where families are willing to spend $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 on homes and not feel like they're being crowded out by students from Loyola getting bussed down. So a few of the things that we'd really like to see addressed before you move through this is if you're thinking about blowing out the wall, or I guess that's already been done. Okay. If you're thinking about doing that and adding this concept in, I can see the benefit of flowing from, craft style, the different things that you're proposing, but I do think that if you are saying this is going to be meeting the need of a niche craft deli hamburger joint, I'd ask, the compelling question, why are we going from 11 p.m. until 2 a.m. with no service that has anything to do with food? So I think that there could be room for a concept here that you're proposing, but from a family-friendly standpoint, we want to see high chairs, we want to see kids menu, we want to see the ways in which families are welcomed into a space, because it's a neighborhood that, economically is dependent on the property tax base that families bring to the table. It's not just millennials who are renting houses while they go to school in the city. So we really want to make sure that it's a family-friendly establishment and that it's not, kids getting bussed in at Loyola who are then going and urinating behind Cross Street Market, throwing up, maybe blacking out, not knowing what happened to them the night before. These are real concerns, and they're concerns from a number of different angles. So, to the board, we just ask that you consider the possible limitations if you are willing to consider this expansion outright. We'd like to see the seats nailed down so that the limited number of 60 seats can't get pushed out and turned into a dance club late at night. We already have plenty of that, and we'd like to see not less, but certainly not more. We'd like there to be limited hours, stopping at that 11 p.m. clock, if that is indeed when you're going to stop serving food. And we don't see an expanded niche market for food between 11 p.m. and 2 a.m. That's serving a different crowd than the crowd that actually lives in Fed Hill. And the visitor market. We don't necessarily need people coming down from the downtown hotels from conventions looking to find a place to party in one of the flagship neighborhoods that's actually retaining residents. We'd also like to ask that you consider the different ways in which you are paying attention to the possible crime that would be happening, not just violent crime, but the different ways in which public urination, public vomiting, defacement of property is actually undermining the different goals of your business to, I'm sure, attract clientele that becomes invested in what you're doing and wants to be part of your brand.
Thank you. Do you have questions?
I don't have a question, but I'm going to make a comment, and I'm sure Mr. Dunlap's going to echo what I have to say, that I totally, on behalf of my client, apologize for what that bouncer said.
The bouncer was polite. It was the clientele.
Okay.
Is it inside or outside the bar?
He was standing next to the bouncer, kind of leaned like this.
Outside smoking a cigarette or inside the bar?
No, he was out. You know how your outdoor seating space during the summer has the kind of, I don't know what you call it, roping. We were up talking to the bouncer, kids asleep in the stroller, anyone with a toddler can tell you drinking is definitely a healthy part of the day. So we were just looking to find a place to have a margarita, hang out, get a taco. We were excited to relax in our new neighborhood that we had just, we sunk $350,000 into making sure that the neighborhood was a great place. We want to raise our kid there. DBFA has been instrumental in the revitalization of that neighborhood over the past 10 years. We've helped turn around Fed Hill Prep. We have, as families, really made a difference in that neighborhood, which of course has made your business more viable. You don't want to be in an area that's just serving drunk kids late at night. And we want to see you succeed, but we want to see you succeed in a way that doesn't undermine the overarching goals of this neighborhood.
Hey, I just apologize for your experience. Having grown up with small kids in Fells Point, I'm outraged and I apologize.
It illustrates the overarching point, which is if you are going to expand the number of bodies, and I understand what you're saying, the fire marshal comes in with a little wheel thingy and you can put 100 bodies but only 60 chairs. I understand what you're trying to do, but you can't go person by person and say, don't worry, that guy's not emblematic of this neighborhood. Don't freak out that you just spent your entire life savings. Don't call the real estate agent back and ask to go to Glen Burnie. We promise. Much as it would be lovely to have you there every night, it's probably not realistic. I think instead you need to be thinking about what structures you're setting up as you continue to think about this expansion to make sure that that's not the main part of your clientele, because that's going to undermine the overarching goals you have of having a successful business.
Okay, thank you. We have to move on. We have a 1 o'clock docket. So, Commissioner, did you
Yeah,
have some
just
questions?
briefly, can I ask the landlord a question, the owner of the, if you could come up to, Mr. Ahmadinha, I hope I pronounced that right.
Yeah, this is very good.
Can you explain to me, is 1118 and 1120, this, are those two separate properties or one?
No, it's just, actually, it's 1114 to 1120. But in the property tax, it's listed as 1118, 1120. It's really one property. When I bought the property, it was a video store. It was a movie time video store, which was owned.
So I don't mean to cut you off. I appreciate it. I know the chairman has been very kind, and I'm trying to help. And I'm sorry for all my questions, Mr. Chairman.
One consolidated lot.
One consolidated. And how did you consolidate that lot?
It was already it was already one building. Actually, when the prior business, the video store.
Were there any? I'm sorry. Again, were there any? Did you need any approvals from the city? Not you or your.
It was already like that. Actually, it was an opening from the first building all the way. It was never. There was no brick wall or anything, any partition between the buildings.
Okay.
The prior business had the opening from.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. Nothing.
Anything further?
Nothing further. I just want to emphasize that the licensees went through extensive negotiation with the South Baltimore Neighborhood Association. There are parameters put in place that this is a restaurant, and I totally appreciate and understand the concerns of the Federal Hill Neighborhood Association and the folks that were here, but those parameters are in place. There's no intention of moving the tables. Is that correct, Mr. Dunlap?
No, we do propose that, as you can see in the drawings, they would be high-top communal tables that would be actually in place, which and my thought would be to impede that congregation to the middle as being a proposed dance floor.
And you just want to emphasize to the board that you are emphasizing the restaurant, the food portion of this expansion?
Yes, correct,
Okay.
and that's the basis behind the whole
And
concept.
it's one LLC, it's one business, it's one tax ID number, it's one management team, it's two food concepts, is that correct?
Correct, and it's not blowing the wall out in between. We're doing two partitions that are approximately 3 feet wide per the drawing that you have in your packet.
Which is removing of sheetrock.
Correct.
Did I hear you say that you're going to add a dance floor?
No.
You're
I'm
not
saying that
adding
in the
a-
drawing, you could see that it's two high-top communal tables that are in the center of that open space. So what may be as thought to become a dance floor, those tables will not be able to be removed. They're high-top communal tables that are posted into the ground.
So there will not be a dance floor?
No, correct.
Okay.
So I'm looking at the MOU and the hours of operation. When does Banditos close on Friday and Saturday?
2 a.m.
This is proposed to close at 1, according to your MOU.
I'd have to look at that again.
That's what it says. And when will the kitchen close?
11.
So it will be a bar for 3 hours or 2 hours?
Correct.
Okay. Okay. Do the commissioners have questions?
I have a question, maybe it's more of an observation. It seems to me that that what you're trying to build is the concept of our house, Remington House, our house in Remington. Is that where you're headed with this?
As we do love that space, I don't think that was the beginning of the concept, because like now, it's house cured meats. It's a lot of well-crafted things. It's not just a deli per se. That's why we use the term craft deli. We have experienced, kitchen staff that is excited about this and wants to do something beyond just
So here's my concern. I'm all for innovation and novelty, and all of that is good, and we love that. That's part of what Baltimore is and the charm of the city. But I guess what I'm struggling with is there's this whole new concept that one community supports, but other community associations don't seem to support. And I think that you need that to move forward. And I'm struck by the arguments regarding the increased number of alcohol outlets or opportunities to consume alcohol and the community impact versus community need. And I'm struggling with that.
I can try and clarify for you some. I guess my biggest thing is if there aren't operators that are willing to try and break this trend of Federal Hill being in this stigma of being the bar neighborhood, then
But is that
when will the
you?
trend change? I do
Is
believe
that you?
No, I believe
You
that
do
we're
believe,
here
and do
today.
you agree that that is he?
I totally
Okay.
agree that. I was going to make a couple comments, if I may, and just to say, the
I think he's helping you.
no, not really. The Cross-Street Market, as you've all read, is about to be redone.
Correct.
The idea is to be more of our market than it is to be a beer hall. So the idea of special food and those kind of needs is totally, is immaterial. Let's just ask him a couple, which I've already asked. Food is only 20% of right now, so why is food all of a sudden going to be a major component of this new expanded unit? The other thing is, how many people do you see from South Baltimore in support of this issue? And how many people do you see from Federal Hill who are opposed to this?
Well, in fairness, they worked out an agreement with.
Yes, there were two people who are
I don't
involved
know.
in it. Anyway, I just wanted to
They
say that.
authorized their president to sign off on
They
it.
died,
though,
and
so-
their president pretty much signs off on everything.
Well, that's not part of the evidence.
No, but just a comment.
I don't think that's entirely fair. Okay, commissioners?
No questions.
So where are you on this, Commissioner?
I am undecided,
You have to step up to the mic.
especially if it's helpful.
I don't think that we're.
For the record,
Michael
Mr.
White.
Michael White.
I don't think that we're talking about bringing additional people into the area. We just want to service the people that are already there. So I don't think it's going to be creating more people, more problems. I think it's just going to be servicing the people that are already in that area.
Yeah, it's sort of conjecture, though. We don't know. Well, I guess why I'm struggling with is if the concept is to do something unique food-wise, why is it open for several hours past the food service time when you already have a bar next door?
I mean, to be frank, I guess that alcohol sales is important in the restaurant industry, and with
I understand
and with
your
most, and with our menu, it does complement. Again, I did say the menu would end at 10, but we do feel that it's important to be able to attract people into our establishment there, and in turn also do what I was just stating, trying to do is create a different trend in the style of, I guess, from 11 till 2 of how you act, I guess, or how you conduct yourself. And I think that's important with the establishments that, to start changing these trends. And they're right. There are a lot of people in Federal Hill at night, and it's been that way for a long time. And I look at this as an opportunity for us to, these people need places to go as well. So I think that if we can
How about
provide them a
home?
location, I agree with you.
Go home. Go home. You don't. What is the saying? You don't have to stay here, but you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
I totally understand
Yeah.
that. I guess in my eyes, it's just, this is an opportunity that we see to potentially change some of those trends and offer them things that they aren't.
Well, I don't mean to lay all this at your doorstep. I mean, the problems that are discussed by the people from Bloomberg and the other lady are widespread problems. They aren't Bandito's problem alone, but in fairness, so.
If I can just ask Mr. Dunlap a question, to address that concern about food, would you be amenable to expanding your food hours?
Yeah, we're open to anything. I think there are no late night food options, but I think on the converse, I think then the Federal Neighborhood Association would say we don't want them to serve food till that time because it keeps people around. Because I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but the idea is that the Neighborhood Association does not want people there till 2 a.m. I don't understand, because there has been these establishments there that have been open till 2 a.m. for quite some time. And we look at this, like I said, and I'm sorry to repeat myself, but as an opportunity as, operators that have been in the neighborhood for plus 8 years, who we have done our part in showing people that we do care. We do, the concept isn't something we just came out of nowhere and developed. This is something we're very passionate about. It's
So
not,
here's what I'm struggling with. I mean, you started as a sort of small taco place.
Correct.
And you were hugely, wildly popular. You really were. And are, maybe. And people asked, you came here because people wanted to be able to get beer or whatever on Sundays, and so changes were made. And you're expand, and it's hard because we're all for expansion, obviously. But you're expanding beyond what it is that what you are. You're becoming something very, very different, and that's what I'm struggling with. You're becoming something very, very different, and that's a good thing, in isolation, but you're becoming something different that some parts of the community are having a lot of problems with, and that's the struggle. How do we balance as a liquor board your desire, your innovation, you're right, because you've got the zoning for it, and that's what I was asking here. You've got the zoning for it versus the community impact, and we are the board, we are the ones that ask and are charged with the responsibility of questioning the community impact.
Sure.
And one community has said we can live with whatever they are wanting to do. Another community says that they cannot. So
Sure, those are very valid points.
they're really concerning
Yeah,
points.
absolutely. And I'll
What
just.
is, let me ask you this, what is the possibility of your going back to the table and working out an MOU with the community association that's here and not supportive, because it sounds like there's some things that they really like about you, and they have some concerns that are not addressed to their satisfaction?
I mean, I'll be transparent, and just the cost to operate in that neighborhood is not cheap.
Of course
and
not.
As successful as we were being a casual just taco place that didn't serve alcohol, we would not have survived. And that was.
And you're selling alcohol.
Yeah, now we are. So it helps us
So
to
that's a
be
good
able to, one, create the revenue to be able to make these changes and to keep reinvesting in our brands and keep, being relevant in the neighborhood. And maybe that's just my, the entrepreneurial spirit that I see in all this. And it's something where we're always open to sit down with the neighborhood associations. I don't argue that at all. But when we go into the meetings, it can be very one-sided. So I understand the concerns, and we respect the concerns about staying open until 2 a.m. We totally do. We understand that. We understand the clientele that can be down there, but we also know the value in the revenue that it does supply for us to be able to be relevant and operate a place of the caliber that we want to operate at. In that space, I mean, $6,500 a month in 2,000 square feet that's occupied by 700 square feet of kitchen, that's a lot. And
Well, you pay for it with alcohol.
Yeah. Can I comment?
absolutely, and that's exactly the that's the formula that I'm trying to create here. And if we do get that space, we're paying upwards of close to $19,000 a month in lease expenses by being in those two spaces. I guess my thought would be, if it wasn't us going in there, it's going to be somebody else that is going to try and do something, or it'll be another concept that doesn't serve alcohol that could turn over.
Well, you're certainly entitled to make realistic projections of how to survive and make a decent profit and whatever in your business. But very briefly, sir, you have a thing, because we're way over our time.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say that I can't speak on behalf of the Federal Hill Neighborhood Association. I'm just one member, and we'd have to take a vote. The idea was, we're not opposed to a restaurant in that space. What we're opposed to is just an expanded liquor place with 20%, I mean, I don't know how many people go out at midnight and look for some kind of a special deli. So that's all that's my comment.
I understand. Yes, but don't start it.
I'm sorry. As the landlord, actually, when they started as a taco place, which they were doing very good, but unfortunately, when they jacked up the property tax from $10,000 to $50,000, and it's going up higher and higher, so the expenses are a little bit higher, so they pay higher rent. So the only way to be able to pay the expenses, it was expanding to the liquor. And also, I want to say, as
you only had one thing to say.
Okay,
you
no,
said.
forgive me. As a tenant, there are many bars, but I think these guys they've been very good, and I wish I had a copy of my list that you could see too. I mean, I have 10 apartments above. If they were noisy bar or something, it'd be against their lease actually. I even have a copy of an invoice in my folder, which I can show it to you if you wish, for cleaning. Not only they cleaned their share, but I have I hire somebody myself to clean the alley, front of the yogurt shop, which is not part of their building yet, and I invoice them 50%, because I said, well, because some of it come from the other bars, they come to this side.
I appreciate it, but we've got to move on.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Final word, Mr. Chairman, is that you have operators with a track record.
I understand.
And I think that, I hope that sways you. Thank you.
I think, from my perspective, you all made a very excellent presentation. It's something that you want to do, and I give you credit for going to the local community organization and working out an MOU with them. I also hear the other people, and these are real problems. And this is a community that has become very popular with young people, and the drinking issues that they identify are very real, and I think it causes problems for people who live there. There is no question about that. You know, until the legislature or somebody decides that they're going to have to step in and do something about that, but we have to make our decisions based on the record before us and the statute. And this is a tough one, but not because of anything you've done, but because of where you're located, and of course that benefits you where you're located. For me, I'm going to vote to approve.
I'm going to vote to disapprove for the reasons that I stated. And I mean, I applaud the vision and the energy and the enthusiasm, but I think it's the community impact that sways me. It is the community impact that sways me.
Part of the price of being the junior member, I suppose, is some of these tough decisions fall to me. So here's where I am. I appreciate where the community is coming from. My fundamental challenge was I don't like the idea, personally, of having one theme with a liquor license and next door having a second themed restaurant, or a different genre, I should say, and having the same liquor license. That, to me, seems like it's a duplication. It seems like it's another liquor license. I think that's what the community is saying. I think that's an issue. However, what the precedent says and what the zoning says is that this is considered one property. And because it's considered one property, we can't make that decision because these are not two separate parcels, as I understand. BMZA has made this one property, and as a result, unfortunately, under the way we operate, this can be approved for those reasons. So having said that, that was my chief challenge. I would vote to approve it. I would also add that I think, Mr. Dunlap, you bring a lot of credibility, and I think that's just based on pure evidence of your opponents. Now, your opponents are well-versed in our rules and regulations, and obviously you know them as well, and they can always call 311 and they can always protest. That's a step they can take in terms of recourse. So having said that, I too would go alongside with the chairman and vote to approve.
Yeah, I'd encourage you to have further conversation with the folks who've been here today, though. They have very real concerns, and obviously we're aware of them. And so to the extent that you can assuage any of their concerns, it's only going to benefit you. But thanks.
Okay. I'm not sure I'm entitled to the last word, but I'm going to try to grab it. My concern is that just because a license is approvable doesn't mean we should approve it. And I don't think this board should be in the business of approving licenses that have the potential for such a negative community impact. That being said, what was said here is very, very serious. Those are real concerns. It's not fiction. It's not hypothesis. It's real. And my hope is that you all will do everything that you can, even though you've been approved, to assuage and address those concerns. Because if you don't, these are your neighbors, they're your customers. If you don't, you'll be back here on the other side of our docket, which we don't want. Okay, so good luck to you.
Thank you.
Mr. Priebus.
Thank you.
Yes, I'd like to call exhibits for the record at this time. Board Exhibit 1, MOU between applicants and South Baltimore Neighborhood Association. Board Exhibit 2, letter of opposition dated January 2nd, 2017 from Harbor Court Towers. Board Exhibit 3, letter of opposition from Federal Hill Neighborhood Association. Applicant, Exhibit 1, business concept. Community Exhibit 1, written testimony from Pamela Trengesterstein. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Good luck.
Rolling. Calling next case, Mustafa Jackson and Roberto Silva, 414 LLC, trading as Kings and Diamonds, 414 through 416 East Baltimore Street. This is a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license, a request for hardship extension under the provisions of Alcoholic Beverages Article, Section 12-2202.
Gentlemen, will you raise your right hands, please?
You swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
And can we each get close to the microphone and tell your names and spell them for the reporter?
I'll go first. My name is Roberto Silva. First name Roberto. Last name Silva. Silva. I'm sorry. I'm talking to radio for a living. I'm sorry.
Oh.
Very good microphones.
My name is Mustafa Jackson. Mustafajackson.
Mr. Jackson, have you ever been represented by the law firm Whiteford, Taylor, and Preston?
No, sir.
Okay, and then that name showed up on my conflict sheet, and I had to ask, but thank you. So you gentlemen have written a request for hardship extension, is that correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Who wants to tell us the background?
Wait, Mr. Chairman.
Actually, you're not the ones who submitted this, right?
Both of you have, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, if I could, both of you don't have an interest in the license. Can you explain, at least based on our information, can you explain your role? Because you didn't sign, neither of you, unless, are you, Mustafa, you're not Kenneth.
Where is Kenneth Jackson and where is William Shepard?
William Shepard, he's not here.
Okay, well, you have to come and be sworn, sir. You own 50% of this license, don't you?
Yes.
Okay, please raise your right hand.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
And what you said before, I wasn't able to hear, so maybe just restate it.
I was just acknowledging.
Okay, that you are Mr. Jackson, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you and Mr. Shepard submitted a hardship request, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and why are these gentlemen here?
Because they're actually going to be operating the place.
Oh, so tell us what's going on, okay? Because all we know is that you've asked for some extra time.
That's because we're doing renovations, and we needed some time to, to get back open.
Okay, and so Mr. Mustafa Jackson, is he related?
That's my son.
Your son, okay. And Mr. Silva, they're going to operate the place once it's reopened?
Yes.
Okay. And when do you think that will be?
I can speak. Roberto Silva speaking. It's looking. I'm sorry. It's looking around March.
So, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. It's been a long day. But that's not what your letter says, Mr. Jackson. Are you? Your letter says that you're planning to sell it. Has the plan changed?
Eventually, I will. Eventually, but I want to let my son have a shot at it.
Okay, so this letter was written November 1st, 2016. You're in front of us a couple months later. Because what you've written in here is not exactly what you're testifying to. So I'm just trying to understand exactly what the plan is.
See, what the plan is, he came involved in it. So he's eventually becoming a partner in it, so he's going to eventually buy it.
Okay, I understand now. Thank you.
So you want to reopen and allow him to make some money and hopefully with an option to buy you out at some point?
That's exactly what it is.
I see, okay. And Mr. Silva, do you have experience in this?
Yes. Well, my name is Roberto Silva. I'm known to most of Baltimore and the world as DJ Quicksilver, award-winning DJ for the last 20 plus years.
Not in a million years for me.
I know I look young. I look very
but
young.
I trust you that you're telling me the truth.
I'm 36.
My kids know you.
I have the biggest radio
Probably
show in the East Coast.
personally.
But I've been in this business since I was 14 years old. I'm 36 now. Actually, I'm born and raised in Baltimore. Started in Baltimore my nightlife career at a club called Club Indigo back in '94, if anybody's old enough to remember that. And from then on, I've been in this business, completely full-time in radio and DJing since the age of 14. I've been very successful. in radio and club. I've been in Washington, D.C. now for the last 14 years.
Have you ever owned and operated one before?
Yes, I actually run one of the most popular and successful clubs, the Park Nightclub in Washington, D.C.
The what?
The Park.
The Park.
It's owned by a guy named, well, I don't know if that man's in here, a guy named Mark, but I've had the biggest night there for the last 8 years consistently.
Yeah.
I've ran that night, and not just that, that club, I've for the last decade plus, I've pretty much had all the biggest events in Washington, D.C. But now I'm looking to bring it back home to where it all started for me. A lot of my patrons, I don't know if I can speak, but I've noticed a lot of my high-end so-called clientele that's from Baltimore, they come to Washington, D.C., one, because I'm there, and they always tell me, I've listened to all these people talk before me, but they always say there are no upscale, nice spots for the urban community. And that's what I offered in Washington, D.C. for the last, decade and a half. And being a resident of Baltimore and having so many ties in Baltimore with my charity, and I always say I would love to bring that revenue back to Baltimore, because I know Baltimore really needs it, at least on our side of the world. So that's my reason for wanting to have this club in Baltimore.
Understood. Commissioners, you have any questions?
I'll defer.
Okay. On basis of what you gentlemen have testified to, I think you should have an opportunity to see if you can get back on your feet and do this business. So I would vote to grant the extension.
I would vote to grant it.
Yes, ma'am.
But this license has some history, and it's challenging, and you're aware of that.
Yes.
And as you're working to clean up the building and the business, you got to clean up the practices as well.
Absolutely. I've never had any issues. I'm very aware of the issues that were there before me, like you say. I had nothing to do with them, and my goal is to make sure that I clean up the.
Right, because it's not just a liquor license, it's also an adult entertainment license.
And I'm actually looking to operate. I know we have the adult entertainment license, and this is something I stressed to Kenny. On Baltimore Street, there's a zillion strip clubs.
There are?
Well, there are 10 plus. There's a lot of them. There's a lot.
You guys know.
You don't know what Baltimore Street is? The Block.
Oh, the Block. Okay,
Well, so
sure,
on the
sure.
Block, it's
feigning.
I'm sorry. That's a strip club district, and that was actually my business plan. I said, I'd be foolish to come on the strip club district and open up another strip club. So although we have the adult entertainment license, I want to own and operate as an actual club with an option if I want to do a strip club night. But when I open, I'm not, because a lot of my clientele are me. I have, state senators and the mayor. So they're not coming down to a strip club. So I want to make sure that my clientele is, they feel comfortable coming to an actual club.
Yeah, I
that's
wish
not
that you could
just
see
a
the
strip club.
faces of the people.
I know all these guys. Senator Larry Young is my great friend. He do a lot of charity work with me. So that's my goal, is to actually bring some life into the block. If you ride down the block right now on a Wednesday, Thursday night, there's 10 people.
Place Star would be mortified.
So that's my goal, is to bring life back to the block, into Baltimore City.
I appreciate that. I too would join my colleagues in approving the hardship. I would echo what Commissioner Moore said. There's a history, and I would work on cleaning that up. And your corporation's not in good standing, so that'd be one of the first things I'd try and clean up and address. But wish you the best of luck. Hope you get open soon.
Yes, that's the
your
goal.
dreams become a reality.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. You have a blessed day.
We're going to take a brief recess, and we'll come back for the other document.
Pardon me, what
What time will we come back?
Well, I don't know. Take 15 minutes.
Have to run to the ladies'
15-minute
15?
recess. 115-minute recess.
15 minutes?
15.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good afternoon. This is the afternoon violations docket of the Board of Liquor License Commissioners for Baltimore City. When your case is called, please step forward, state your name into the microphone, and be prepared to give testimony if you're going to be giving testimony. Please note, if you have a phone or any other electronic device, please silent that phone or put it on vibrate. Starting with the first violation docket, first case on the violation docket, George Divil III, William Matriciani, Donna Matriciani, We Dog LLC, trading as Playbook, 6700 German Hill Road, is a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license. It's a violation of Rule 3.09B, restroom facilities and health regulations. All those parties prepared to testify, please step forward. Be prepared to be sworn in.
Raise your right hand hands, please. Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And
Good afternoon, members of the board. Peter Previs on behalf of the licensees. To my immediate right is Mr. Carlos Bulnes, B-U-L-N-E-S, the manager who was on duty at the time of the alleged event.
Okay. And before we get started, Chairman Matriciani has recused himself from this case, so I'll be acting as the chair for this matter.
We understand why. Thank you.
Okay. So,
I didn't catch the Bulnes.
B-U-L-N-E-S.
Okay, sorry.
so can you tell us what happened?
We
Are
can
you-
admit the violation.
Oh, you're going to admit?
Yes.
All right. Can we just get a brief statement of what the facts are and then we'll
Inspector Chris
proceed.
Malice, Baltimore City Liquor Board, on the 23rd of September at 10 p.m., approximately 10 p.m., members of the Joint Task Force, Social Task Force, composed of Baltimore City Vice, Baltimore City Liquor, and Baltimore City Health, conducted an inspection, and then I'm going to allow the health inspectors that issued the violations to
Okay.
fill you in on.
Okay, thank you. All right, could you state your full name, please?
Patricia Valls, it's V as in Victory, A-U-L-S.
All right, and can you tell us what caused you to go to this location and what you found once you went there?
This facility was scheduled for the Social Club Task Force, so it was on a list of several facilities to inspect. They were actually due for a routine inspection, which is what we had conducted, a monitoring inspection. So it wasn't a full comprehensive, we just went in, looked at food handling, took some temperatures of some items. During that inspection, we observed 4 critical violations, which included raw chicken that was stored above ready-to-eat foods, improper handling of food. They were using they were bare hand contact with food and then weren't washing their hands correctly. They also had many items that were out of temperature. Several items that were supposed to be at 41 or below were above 50 degrees. And also hot holding temperature should be at 135 and it was at 128 degrees. They also had about 10 good retail practice violations, which were thermometers not provided, employee handling ready-to-eat foods. I said that. No water at one of the hand sinks by the door. No soap at a hand sink. No paper towels at the hand sink. Using a plastic grocery bag to store exposed food in. Equipment does not accomplish the intended use, which was maintaining food at 41, and it was not. So all those products were ended up thrown away. They had to clean the floor. The lighting wasn't sufficient in the kitchen. A ventilation hood needed to be serviced. It wasn't working correctly. And then for those reasons, the facility was closed.
Okay. Has it since reopened?
Yes, it was re-inspected on the 29th, September 29th, and they were permitted to reopen.
Okay, so they passed the re-inspection.
Correct.
Okay. All right, thank you. Do you have any questions?
Sure. How many other liquor license establishments that you've cited for health violations have you brought before the liquor board?
I do not bring facilities to the liquor board. I write violation notices, I close places, and then the liquor board.
Was there any type of fine other than how long was the closure, 6 days?
They were closed on the 29th, I'm sorry, looking at the wrong one.
23rd to 29th?
They were closed on the 23rd and then reopened on the 29th.
Was there any type of fine or other sanction
There
imposed
was-
by the health department?
There was a reinspection fee of $150.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions?
And did you? Okay, and how does, do you normally inspect on 10 o'clock on a Friday night?
We inspect with the Social Club Task Force. It is not something we normally do. It is done because for places that the police get complaints about, places we put on the list because we can't get into the facility because they're only open late at night, and our staff, we work 8:30, 4:30. in that time frame, Monday through Friday. So
You never had a problem getting into the playbook, did you?
I can't answer that. I'm not the routine inspector on that facility.
Okay. Thank you, no further questions.
Okay, did you have any questions?
Mr.
Commissioner
Chrisomalis, Inspector Chrisomalis, can I ask you a question? Can you explain the social task force? Can you explain what the social task force is composed of? Who composes the social task force and what its objective is?
It's made up of Baltimore City Vice, Baltimore City Health Department, Baltimore City Liquor Board, and many times Baltimore City Housing and Baltimore City Fire. We don't all go out always all the components together, but that's who it's composed of. It was made up to inspect establishments, especially establishments that might not be open during the day, and it's establishments that all the agencies have interest in, to go inspect and make sure that they're within compliance of the law.
Thank you.
So you work collaboratively to go out and address specific concerns?
Correct.
With the liquor board, police department, health department, and housing?
And housing.
And
Housing
fire.
has been very involved recently, especially with hookah and things of that nature.
Right.
And sometimes when we go out, Chief Osler will give me a list of places that he wants us to visit on the side of the liquor board. Many times the health department has their list already made, and if they're going to liquor establishments, Vice will notify me, if we're working that evening, to accompany them, since they will be going to a licensed establishment.
Okay, wonderful. All right, thank you. Any
Just a
questions?
quick question, why is that Friday night?
It could be Friday, it could be Saturday, it could be different. It's not the same night every time.
But it's not Tuesday morning.
It's not Tuesday morning.
Okay.
I've never been Tuesday morning.
Well, the issue was when the establishment is likely to be open.
When is this establishment open? They're open during the day, aren't they?
I've been there a couple of times during the day and they've been closed.
Okay.
I'm not saying that they're not open during the day. Maybe it's the days that I visit, they're closed, but
You never had trouble getting in there?
me personally, no. I mean, I usually go at night, though.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Anyone else wishing to testify? No? Okay.
Thank you. As I said, we admit the violation. The items were corrected. The establishment was closed for 6 days. Mr. Bonus I'm not going to admit his exhibits, but he's brought me his pest control contracts that go well before the date of this. That was not an issue. He spent $5,800 in making cosmetic improvements to correct the issues that the health department advised. And he's also, in addition to that, for $275, got the hood cleaned and took care of all the issues with that. We admit the violation. Oftentimes, we hear about establishments that say they're serving food, but they're all taverns. This place is actually serving food. Respectfully request that the board consider a nominal fine. They've already been closed for 6 days. And I find that, this is just me, but unless every establishment goes under the same rules, I don't think it's appropriate to go in on a Friday night and shut a place down for health department violations when you could deal with that during business hours. And why are certain establishments on a particular list and others not? So,
Right. Yeah, well, I guess you're aware that there's a real focus, I think sort of a renewed focus by Dr. Lena Nguyen of the City Health Department to change how Baltimore restaurants and food establishments do business because of the public health concern. And I think that, I think that that's probably what drove the citations, and food handling is of deep concerns. And frankly, these violations aren't small, and I think if the general public were aware of the nature of the violations, it could have a real chilling effect on the business, which I guess we're televised, so maybe
Right.
there's that. But there you go.
No, I would just say, Mr. Priebus, You know, under this chairman, you know, the Liquor Commission is much more integrated into what other agencies are doing to make sure it's a much more collaborative effort, and I actually applaud the agency and others for working in tandem. And I do agree with Commissioner Moore. These are pretty serious, and there's clearly a history here. I do appreciate that, and I personally will take it into account that they were closed for 6 days and they've spent real money, so I do appreciate that. But there's a history here, and that's something that I think we have to kind of determine what the best
Right.
penalty might be.
Right.
Now, I'm not making light of the health department violations. I take it seriously. My client takes them seriously. I understand that. But as a matter of fairness, or the appearance of fairness, and when you have a health department inspectors coming in on a Friday night with police officers, I mean, if you're going to do that, then that should be what the policy is for all licensed establishments.
Well, I think that you bring up a good point, and it gives us an opportunity to share. This is not a one-off. This is how we're doing business now. If there is something happening at a business that the liquor board regulates, and it becomes of such a serious nature that it appears that there are other agencies that are also impacted, we are working together to go in. It's a special task force designed to do exactly what this task force did, and it's not anything that we lead with or publicize, but this is how we're doing business now.
And by the way, we get criticized for not doing this, but people don't know that we actually do this. So, you know, this is something that we're this is the way we're doing business. And your client hasn't been targeted, or there is obviously a coordinated effort.
Right.
Okay. I mean, I just.
The cheese does not stand alone on this. There are others that are receiving
Right. I mean, if it's
similar
across
attention.
the board, and the finest hotels and restaurants are being met with police and health department inspections at Friday night at 10 o'clock, then I understand that.
But Mr. Priebus, at the end of the day, there were violations.
Oh,
that you
absolutely.
admit
And
to.
I admitted them.
So, yeah, and I know you have.
And
So,
it's
I
not
mean,
my client making these points, it's me making
No, I
the points
understand.
that.
I understand what you're
that there should be fairness across the board.
I appreciate
With that said, he was shut down for 6 days, and he has spent a substantial amount of money, and I ask you to take that into consideration.
Okay, so, all right. So I do find the violation of Rule 3.09B with respect to the restroom facilities and health regulations. The testimony from the health department as well as our liquor board inspector establishes the violations with respect to the food handling. I would impose, and I appreciate that you were closed for 6 days, and I suspect that's how long it took to get things in order so that you could reopen. I would impose a fine. This is not the first violation. This licensee has been before this board 4 times in 2013, once in 2014, once in 2015, and once in 2016. So there's a sort of a healthy record of violations. And it's for that reason I would impose a fine of $2,500 payable within 30 days.
And I would concur with Commissioner Moore.
Within 30 days.
$2,500 plus an administrative fee of $125 payable in 30 days.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. You want to call the next, exhibits? Were there any exhibits? No.
Yeah, there
Oh, there were, okay.
Board Exhibit 1, Baltimore City Police Department report dated September 16, 2016. Board Exhibit 2, routine inspection dated 9/27/16 by Inspector John Christomalis. Exhibit 3, Health Department report dated 9/29/16 by Inspector Alcapala. Board Exhibit 4, Health Department report dated 9/23/16 by Inspector Clark. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
2,400 plus 125.
Okay. We have 30 days.
30 days.
Okay.
He's probably going to appeal.
Okay. Thanks. Okay. Calling Tesfaye Biru and Fikirima Worku, Jano Ethiopian Restaurant and Lounge LLC, trading as Jano Ethiopia, 34 South Utah Street. This is a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license. Violation of Rule 4.05A and B, prohibited hours, October 30th, 2016. A violation of Rule 3.02, cooperation, October 30th, 2016. Violation of 2.13, inspections, October 30th, 2016, and a violation of Rule 3.12, general welfare, October 30th, 2016. All interested parties, please step forward, identify yourselves, and if you're going to give testimony, be prepared to be sworn in.
And good afternoon to this honorable tribunal. Roland Harris on behalf of Mr. Worku and Janu Lounge. We also have a witness, that would be Keith Boone, who is present and to our right.
Good afternoon. So this is not going to be an admission?
We will admit to the after-hours violation.
The 405A and B?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, would everyone who's going to testify raise their right hands, please?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I do.
And before we begin, I'd move to sequester the witnesses.
Okay, well, who's going to testify first? Okay, so can I ask the other gentleman to step into the other room till we call you?
And I believe this witness would testify as to what occurred inside the location. Is that correct?
Yeah, afterwards. I can't testify to what, I wasn't there when they.
The violations that are before us now are the failure to cooperate with the Inspector Christomales. Actually, is he the primary witness on this?
I believe so, in reference.
Because you were already in the establishment, is that correct? So you didn't observe the interactions between Inspector Christomales and the licensee?
No, I didn't.
Okay, well, you ask him to come back in, will you, please?
Figured that might save us a little bit of time. And in all fairness, Mr. Boone, what I've done is I've sequestered the witnesses, which means all the witnesses have to go into the hallway. Okay?
Thank you, Inspector. And you've been sworn, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, just state your name for the record, please.
Inspector Christomales, Baltimore City Liquor Board.
Okay, so Inspector, they've admitted to a violation of prohibited hours, and that leaves us with the 3 rule violations that have to do with the failure to cooperate with you. And so could you tell us about what happened when you arrived?
Sure. On or about October 30th, 2016, at approximately 2:20 a.m., while I was on duty detailed to the Halloween festivities in Fells Point, I received a call from Chief Inspector Fossler that he was en route to Jano Ethiopian Restaurant, located at 34 Utah Street in the city of Baltimore, state of Maryland. The chief explained that 2 inspectors were inside in an undercover capacity and that the establishment was open and operating well after 2 a.m. I headed to the location and arrived at the same time as the chief. When we arrived, the 2 inspectors had exited the establishment with the rest of the people in order to keep their cover, leaving Agent Howard alone upstairs. Agent Howard was inside the establishment issuing the violations. Chief Fossler asked me to enter the location and locate Agent Howard and stay with him until he was finished. I walked up to the Lombard Street entrance, where I was met by the licensee, Mr. Warku, and 1 security guard. At that time, I identified myself, had my agency issued badge around my neck on the outside of my shirt, and it was visible. Mr. Warku said, "I know who the F you are. You violated me months ago for staying after 2. I explained to the owner that the violations are already being issued, not by me, by the agent, and that I was there strictly for the safety of Agent Howard, and that was inside on the second level. He responded to me, "You are not effing going in, you racist F." I pulled on the door, and it was locked. At that point, I had a serious concern for the safety of Agent Howard. I told the owner that he was to give me access immediately. He again told me no and put his hand on my chest. I told the owner not to touch me, and I had to tell him multiple times. I believe that Mr. Warku was intoxicated with a strong scent of alcohol in his breath, and his eyes were glazed over. After several minutes of trying to gain access to the property and the agent's safety at a high concern, I notified Baltimore City Police Central District to send a patrol vehicle to assist me with gaining access. Right before the patrol car arrived, Mr. Warku unlocked the door and gave me access. I entered and went to the second level where I found Agent Howard along with 5 or 6 other individuals. I was approached by another security guard who identified himself as a former Baltimore City Police Department officer. The security guard was very professional and apologized for the owner's actions and said that he was not typically like that, but he had been drinking that night. After Agent Howard was finished writing the violations, we exited the location. I violated the licensee for 3.02 cooperation, 3.08 safety, 3.12 general welfare, and 2.13 inspections.
Questions for the inspector?
Yes. Inspector, when you arrived at the location, there's a Utah Street entrance and then there's a Lombard Street entrance. Is that correct?
That's correct, sir.
Okay, so you were going around to the Lombard Street entrance. Is that correct?
We were parked directly in front of the Utah Street entrance. That door was locked, and I knew that there was another entrance on Lombard Street.
Okay, so you're indicating that when you arrived at that location, the front door was locked?
The front door was locked.
Okay, when you eventually went in, so when you arrived at the location, were all the inspectors present that were involved in this investigation?
The 2 inspectors that were inside in an undercover capacity were outside. They came out with the rest of the crowd after Agent Howard went in, identified himself, told them they're operating after hours. They exited with all the other patrons. So the only inspector, there was one inspector, Agent Howard, who was upstairs.
Were you present when the other customers left the location?
Negative. I arrived after the fact.
Okay, so you arrived at what time?
Approximately 2:30, 2:30-ish, right around there.
Okay, and according to the report that I have, that indicates that, I believe it was, you indicated it was Inspector Howard that went to the location and was inside the location?
No, sir. Agent Howard was there with 2 inspectors. The 2 inspectors entered the location in an undercover capacity, seeing if they're going to be served alcohol. Agent Howard went in after the 2 inspectors notified him that indeed the establishment was open and operating after 2 a.m.
Okay, so you're saying when you arrived at the location, there weren't any other customers around at this time at all?
There was certain people upstairs. I don't know if they were employees or customers.
Okay, so in terms of when you arrive at the Jano Lounge location, you indicated that you parked on Utah Street, correct?
The side entrance is Lombard, so yes, Utah.
Okay, and when you arrive at the location, there's actually an awning on the front of the Utah Street entrance. Is
That's
that
correct.
Okay, and the Lombard Street, it's just more of a door, is that correct?
That is also correct.
Okay, and when you arrived at the location, you went around to the side, and did you bang on that door on the Lombard Street side?
No, sir. I checked the front door on Utah. I walked around. When I walked around, Mr. Warku and the security guard met me at the door. They were already outside.
They were out front. Do you mean, when you say out front, do you mean the Utah Street or do you mean the Lombard?
Lombard Street.
Okay, so they were so you went to the Lombard Street, checked the door, found it was locked, and then you met with Mr. Warku and Mr.
No, sir. Again, I pulled up to the Utah Street entrance. That's where we parked.
Yes.
I pulled on the Utah Street door. That door was locked. I know the establishment because that used to be my district. I know there's another entrance on Lombard. I walked around the corner to the Lombard Street entrance where I was met by Mr. Warku and his security officer.
Okay, did you ever bang on any door to gain access to the building?
I believe I banged on the front door in Utah.
Okay, and when you met them, you weren't fully at the door for the Lombard street entrance, is that correct?
I was 15 feet away.
Okay. And then eventually, you all went around to the front entrance, which would be the one with the awning, and the main entrance for customers, which would be on the Utah Street side. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And you were able to gain access into the building at some point in time? Is
At some point in time, correct.
Okay. And in terms of, I understand that you've indicated that there was certain physical contact that occurred. Is that correct?
There was an arm placed on the chest, yes. Was it a, did I feel like my safety was threatened? No.
Okay, all right. And during that point in time, no. Who was present during the situation that occurred? And in terms of what we just talked about, where did that occur?
That was on the Lombard Street.
That was on the Lombard Street side?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And my understanding is that you said that another inspector had told you to go around?
Correct, the chief that was also present.
Okay. And so when you're out there, part of what you were doing at that point in time was you wanted to gain access to the building to watch the other inspector that was inside, kind of watch out for him. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And so what happens is that a number of different inspectors might come down to the location, and the purpose of all the inspectors going down there is to not only look for violations, but to also look out for each other. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Okay. So your chief would have been watching out for what it is that was going on the Lombard Street side as you're walking down this dark street at night, correct?
It's not a dark street. It's a pretty well-lit street. But yes, he was right around the corner on Utah. He was getting the information of the case by the two undercover agents that were inside.
Okay. And who was the supervisor or the?
Chief Mark Fossler.
Okay, thank you. No further questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you want to question any of the other inspectors?
The other, I guess, just a question. The other inspector that was outside, did he observe anything that occurred outside?
Which?
The other one that I'm saying, using outside twice. There's another inspector that's outside, right?
Correct.
Okay.
There's 3 inspectors out there.
Yeah. For lack of a
Just say
better.
that they're waiting to testify.
Yeah, they're waiting to testify out there. Did he observe anything that occurred outside of the location?
Which one of the 3?
The Caucasian one.
He didn't see, I'm sure he heard everything because it was literally just like around the corner. He did observe when Mr. Warku finally gave me access, because at that point we were all on the Utah Street side.
Okay, all right. No, I wouldn't need it.
Okay, well, thank you, Inspector.
I would.
You can stay right here.
Okay.
Did you want to present testimony?
Yes, I'd call Keith Boone.
Can the others
Okay.
come in?
That step out in the hallway.
Sure. Yeah.
Unless you want to recall any witnesses based on what he's going to say, we can have the others come in.
It's more complicated than it has to be.
Well, let's just for now,
Just leave them where they are.
leave them where they are for now. Okay.
All right, Mr. Boone, if you could step right up here to this microphone.
This one?
Yep, you don't have to.
Actually, you can use that one, that's fine.
You don't have to lean right into the microphone, but make sure to keep your voice up. If you could just state your name for the record.
My name is Keith Boone.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Mr. Boone, I'd like to direct your attention to October 30th of last year. Were you working at Jano Lounge on that date?
Yes, I was.
Okay, were you there about 2:30 in the morning?
Yes,
on
I
that-
was.
On that date? Okay, my understanding is that you had some role while you were there. What were you doing at that time?
At that particular time, I was conducting security.
Okay, and when you work for security, do you work for Mr. Warku or do you work for another company?
Now, I work for another company. I work for J&J Security.
Okay, does Mr. Warku doesn't pay you directly?
No.
Okay, so at the time you were providing security, and that's my understanding, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, now at some point in time, did you end up outside of the location?
Yes.
Okay, and when you went outside of the location, did you go outside with anybody?
No. I stepped outside the door on my own because I heard somebody not banging on the door.
Okay, and when you say they were banging on the door, which door are you talking about?
The Lombard Street side.
Okay, So you exited the Lombard Street side, and when you went outside, did you observe anybody?
Yes.
Okay, who is it that you observed outside when you went outside on the Lombard Street side?
I observed the gentleman to the left of me.
Okay, did you observe anybody else outside at that point in time?
No, sir.
Okay, did any conversation take place when you exited the Lombard Street door and you observed the inspector?
With myself and the inspector?
No, or any conversation
No.
that was happening at that time?
No.
Okay, so what happened after that situation?
After that situation, Mr. Wuku came out of the door also,
Okay.
and we were walking down the street.
When
The
you
gen-
say walking down the street, which direction are you going? Are you
we're
going towards
we're
Utah?
going east,
Okay.
going towards Utah Street. That's
Okay.
where the front door is located.
Okay, and when you say we, who is we?
Myself and Mr. Wuku.
Okay, so the two of you are walking towards the Utah Street. What, if anything, happened after that?
At that particular time, the inspector to the left of me and Mr. Wuku engaged in a conversation.
Okay, who started that conversation?
The inspector.
Okay, and how did that conversation start?
He was complaining about not being able to have access to the location. Okay, when you come outside, the door on Lombard Street, it locks behind you.
Okay, and so what was Mr. Warku's response to in your interpretation of what you were being told by the inspector? Did that mean to you that he wanted to gain access to the Lombard Street entrance exit door?
To my best recollection, yes, but if I didn't have a key and Mr. Wuku didn't have a key, we couldn't let him in because there was nobody else downstairs, so you had to go back around to the front door on Utah Street, and that's where Mr. Wuku and myself were walking to.
Okay, so did you have a key on you?
No.
And to your knowledge, did Mr. Warku have a key on him?
No.
Accessing the Lombard Street door?
No, sir.
Okay, so the conversation takes place between the inspector and Mr. Warku, where the inspector's indicating to Mr. Warku that he wants access to the Lombard Street door. Is that,
No.
Is that an accurate description?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so then, and Mr. Warku is saying what to the inspector at that time?
At that particular time, he was asking him what the problem was, and he explained to him that you had to go back around to the other side because that door is locked. We can't open it if we don't have a key. The front door, which is located on Utah Street, was open. Anybody could have walked in that door because it was propped open with a brick that I used to get people to exit out.
Okay, so and during this time that this conversation is taking place, how long did this conversation on Lombard Street between Mr. Warku and the inspector take place?
Maybe about 60 seconds.
Okay, so not an extensive, long conversation?
No.
Okay. During that time, did you see any physical contact between Mr. Warku and the inspector at this time?
Absolutely not.
Okay. So the two of you, so then it's my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, that eventually this all moves around to the Utah Street entrance. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you had been working security that night. Is that correct?
Yeah, correct.
And I believe you've already explained what the state of the front door was, because is that part of your responsibility to maintain the front door?
Yes.
Okay. And so in terms of maintaining the front door, what is it that you do with the front door on the Utah Street side when you're working at Janu Lounge?
Well, I stand at the front door, and I check people for ID, and also check them for weapons.
I'm actually asking not about your
Since
process.
you're leading him, why don't you just ask?
All right.
Tell him what he needs to say.
Yeah.
All right.
It's faster.
All right. My understanding is that you said that you put a brick in the door and keep the door open. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
Okay. When you went around from the Lombard Street side over to the Utah Street side, was the door in the same state that you had left it
Yes, it
throughout
was.
that night? Okay. No further questions.
I think the inspector wanted to ask some questions.
So you worked security at that location before?
Yes.
Okay, so on the Lombard Street side, you heard banging on that door, but no banging on the Utah Street side?
No, because I was the Utah Street side is
One flight of steps and then the
steps,
bar.
like 23 steps. I got to go up and down the steps on them. I know exactly how many. There are.
And how is it positioned from the Lombard Street side? You walk in the door, what happens? You walk,
There is no position. The Utah Street side is here. Then you have to walk down at least 60 feet, and then you have to walk back up the street to get to the other
I'm
door.
saying, once you enter the Lombard Street side door, what do you have to do to get to the club?
You have to go up the steps.
And then you have to go through a big game room?
You have to go through the VIP section.
Right, and then you get to the bar.
Yes.
And on the Utah Street side, it's one flight of steps, and you're standing in the bar, is that correct?
Just standing at the landing, then you get to walk over to the bar, yes.
Right, so which way is, so would you say that you can get to that bar location easier from Lombard Street or Utah Street?
From Utah Street, of
Right,
course.
so if somebody's banging on Utah Street and you don't hear them, you're definitely not gonna hear the door being banged from Lombard Street, correct?
At that particular time, the reason why I heard the door being banged on was because I was making a perimeter check, as I always do.
Oh, okay, thank you, that's all, I just wanted to.
Okay, do the commissioners have questions?
No. No questions for me.
Not right now.
Okay, is there anything further?
No, not in terms of questionings, Your Honor.
Okay. Well, on the basis of the admission by the licensee, I would find a violation of Rule 4.05 A and B for remaining open beyond the hours for which the license was permitted. And on the basis of the testimony presented today, having found, or I would find, the commissioner's testimony credible, I'm going to find violations of Rule 3.02 cooperation, 2.13 inspections, and 3.12 general welfare.
I concur.
As well.
As far as sanctions, just in June, we had the same prohibited hours violation. It didn't make the situation any better the way that the licensee handled this. So I would impose a fine of $2,000. I would give them 30 days to pay that, and I would impose a 3-day suspension.
I would have imposed a higher fine, but with a 3-day suspension, I will go with the $2,000 fine and a 3-day suspension. And I just want to say that the only response when the inspectors come to an establishment is to okay and open the door. There is no argument, and there's no violence and no cursing. And I mean, the allegations here are pretty flagrant, and it's pretty bad. We know it's hard to be in business. It's hard to run these establishments, but these guys are charged with a big responsibility. And when the inspectors come, you got to let them in, and there is no excuse. Now, the testimony, you probably should have been fined for other violations. To have a commercial establishment, a bar that is busy, where you've got one entrance open and the other closed, people can't get in, they can't get out. I find that horrifying, because that's a fire risk. It makes your place a death trap. If there were a fire, people couldn't get out, and that's concerning. You're not here for that, but I just have to say that every time I hear that type of testimony, I'm mortified. So I concur.
Excuse me, ma'am. May I please say something?
No, you're not going to change my mind on anything, and no, I need to move on.
I concur with my colleagues. I'm troubled by these violations, and as Commissioner Moore says, I'm even more troubled about this brick at a door after you're supposed to be closed, in conjunction with the fact that you both were outside of the bar at some point without a key, either of you. So I'm troubled by that, but I do think there are probably other violations you could have been cited for. I know that's no consolation, but I concur with my colleagues, and again, anytime an inspector comes along, please cooperate to the best of your ability.
Thank you.
The last, it begins immediately. The other thing I wanted to say, we had some talk about the special task force. The conduct and behaviors here in this case is the kind of thing that would get the attention of a special task force with respect to the not giving access, to staying open late, to the series of violations. And you haven't had this license that long. Please come in and talk to the office about how to stay out of trouble.
Yeah, use them as a resource, please.
Please.
I really apologize
I appreciate
for what
that.
happened, and I was mortified myself, and
Yeah.
I'm sorry, and I will do my best. to
Appreciate it.
my ability.
Last bit of advice, don't buy your own product.
Thanks very much. And that will conclude our docket for today, I believe. We're in recess until 2 weeks.
exhibits. It's to read exhibits.
We're on the record. Board Exhibit 1, investigation report dated November 1st, 2016 by Inspector John Howard. Board Exhibit 2, investigation report dated November 2nd, 2016 by Inspector Perez. Investigation report dated November 15th, 2016 by John Chrisomalis, Inspector. Thank you.
Immediate.
Great place, we can't wait for it to open.